other guys can roll offensively up front, but having those deep chip in bids, and anyone, the Toronto Maple Leafs and other teams getting a lot of offense to the back end. It matters this time of year.
Big time. Pickard, huge addition as well. Is it easier going down to 5D, do you guys find, if you have 4 lines going?
What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It's a Saturday, May 10th, 2025. How's everybody doing out there today? Let's get right into it as far as the starting lineups. I do have Alec Nava here with me. I'm going to bring all these lineups in, and then we're going to get him across for the Vegas Golden Knights and Bruce Cassidy. It sounds like this: Jack Eichel, Evan Barbashev, Mark Stone, Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo, Tomas Hertl, Pavel Dorofeyev, Victor Olofsson, Noah Hannafin, Zach Whitecloud, Will Carlson, Brett Howden, Riley Smith, Nick Watt, Tanner Pearson, Keegan Kolsar, Nick Hague, and Caden Horchek. Aiden Hill will be the goaltender of record. Again, some of the injuries have changed some things. Braden McNabb and Brandon Saad are out for VGK. They will get Dorofeyev to bring him back in there, but we'll see how that changes some things. And for Kris Knoblauch's squad, the Edmonton Oilers are already up 2-0 in this series. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Corey Perry, Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard. It's RNH, Evander Kane, Zach Hyman, Jake Walman, John Klingberg, Adam Henrique, Trent Frederick, Connor Brown, Mattias Janmark, Vitaly Pot-Coles, and Victor Arvidsson, and Brett Kulak, Ty Emberson. Calvin Pickard sustained an injury in Game 2 in the 5-4 win in overtime for Edmonton, so Stuart Skinner is going to get his first start in a long time. Alec, this is a very desperate Vegas team. I don't know how many times you've had to use that narrative, not very often, but this is a very desperate Vegas team. Now they get to go up against Stuart Skinner, who probably has a little bit of rust, and they're going to get their best chance, Edmonton, against Vegas today. But I would imagine we might see more like the Game 1 Edmonton team that played stout defense against Stuart Skinner. What do you think?
You mentioned about how desperate Vegas needs to be, because they have to after losing the first 2 games of the series at their home ice. Brandon McNabb is going to be out, and his stay-at-home presence is going to be sorely missed. That's why they moved Shea Theodore to the left side and moved Alex Pietrangelo up to the top defensive pair. Pietrangelo's not what he was from the days at St. Louis, but they rely on him to be a steady defensive presence. His usual defensive partner, Nick Hague, right next to Kaden Korshak on the third pairing. Noah Hannafin, Zach Whitecloud. That's a pairing that you cannot break out.
Right.
But this is a game that's perfect for Theodore to have a breakout game. He was excellent in the final 3 games of the Minnesota series. And here in Game 3, that's where he has to be at his best, creating shot blocking, shot chances, shooting chances, and passing lanes for his teammates. And he can take his own scoring chances to the net.
Want to mention this alongside the backup goaltenders today for Vegas will be Akira Schmid and Oliver Rodriguez on the other side for Edmonton. So if we do see them tonight, that means everything has gone wrong. I will say this for Vegas. I know they lost those couple of games at OT. One was a heartbreaker. That breakout and between 29 and 97 was ridiculous. McDavid skates in, gets the drop pass over to Leon Draisaitl, finish it off. But Alex Pietrangelo, I think, Alec, has been a little bit uncharacteristic with some of these cough-ups in front of the net. He's lucky he probably didn't get scored on as much as they have already.
The fact that he got that tying goal in Game 2, that has to feel a little bit good for him, but otherwise, he's not looked like himself. And I feel that he may be dealing with some sort of injury. I don't know if that's the same reason for why he pulled out the 4 Nations face-off in that regard. But he might not be playing at 100% full capacity, whether it be injury or that he's 35, either or, but probably it's more to do with the injury that he's been playing throughout the season.
Got to say this, on the previous matchup, I have to imagine you are very happy of what took place today. Carolina with a demolishing of the Washington Capitals. They went 4-0.
Freddie Anderson and the defense in front of him were fantastic. And I love everything about this game. Perfectly executed game plan for Rod Brind'Amour. People have been underestimating Carolina Hurricanes for some time, myself included. I thought this would be Washington making quick work, but Carolina plays a structure that is upheld here, and now you can start to believe that maybe Carolina is starting to find the right pieces up and down the lineup. So you want to go with the sneaky route, not the all-in push. Carolina made an all-in push, but they just happened to run into a bad matchup in the Rangers last year. This year, the Capitals are a young team, or a young-ish sort of team, that needs to go up from here in terms of playoff experience. Carolina is the experienced team this time around, not the upstart team that they were 6 years ago when they upset the then defending champs. Good work here defensively for Rod Brennemore's team. Jacob Slavin has been huge tonight, too.
He always is, Alec. You always talk about that, and I agree with you 100% every time we bring up his name. Svechnikov scored the 6 right off the face-off, able to get around the defense and score pot that wrister. I did see that one. And then Jack Roslovic, Eric Robinson, and Jackson Blake balanced scoring up and down the lineup for Carolina. 21 of 21 for Freddie. Logan Thompson, 24 of 28. It's a 2-1 series lead for the Canes. The Caps are trying to even it back up at 2-2, but I know I told you from the beginning, you and I might be thinking about a little bit differently for the Hurricanes. I did say that they were game for this, but my other question now as we get to these anthems here, Florida did what they had to do the other day with Brad Marchand, and Toronto's going to be thinking, oh no, not again. But if Toronto went up 3-0 in that series, Florida was probably as good as dead.
Yeah, I was not surprised that Florida was going to win this game because they needed this one to get one back in it. Because this series is more to do with a track meet now because of Anthony Stolarz' injury. We don't know when Stolarz is going to return, but nonetheless, with Joseph Woll and Sergei Bobrovsky and that, you may be thinking track meet. And the question now, who is the one that's going to survive the track meet the most? Here in Game 3, it was Florida with their comeback victory. But I think it's going to come down to who has the better defense in the end and who steps up with the defensive plays more often. You'll be quite to think that it's Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart because they are 2 Selke Trophy nominees. But I'm not sleeping on Toronto's defense either. Where you can take one loss if you're Toronto.
Sure.
I think the Leafs are going to be fine.
I think so too. I think they have to think pretty well about their game. I know what happened with Brad Marchand. I get it, but that was the pure desperation for Florida. If Toronto comes back and wins another game in Sunrise and at least split there, they're going to be in really good standing. We'll talk about that more as we go along. I'm going to lead off the first. I'll give the second to Alec. I'll let him close today. I'm just appreciative to have Alec here with me. It's been interesting. I've been able to do some solo calls since I've been back, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting for Stuart Skinner. This postseason, 0-2, 6-11, 810 save percentage. It's his first start since Game 2 against the Kings.
We had to think about how he's going to bounce back because if we remember the last time that he got slotted back into the net right after he got benched, he played his best hockey of his career last year. That's no guarantee that he's going to repeat it again, but he needs to find that confidence that he had from last year. We need to see that version of Stuart Skinner.
I would say the same thing, Alec, and I know you'd agree with this. 0-2, 404, 862 for Adin Hill. We need to see better of Adin Hill because when you think about Logan Thompson on the other side, I know he's getting his hands full with Carolina right now, but you chose one over the other. I know you probably couldn't afford one over the other, but have to see the best from both of these goalies, and it starts today at Rogers. We'll get things going here. Noah Hannafin. We'll pick this up again. I got the TNT side alongside with Alec. I'm not going to go with Sportsnet because I'll be about a minute ahead at that point. As this is picked up now, right out in front of bouncing puck will be gloved down by Darnell Nurse. We'll try to get this out of his own zone. Again, Edmonton gets a chance to be at Rogers with a 2-0 series lead. You got to feel like they feel pretty good about where they're at. We'll have more to talk about with the Jets and the Stars as well because I have a feeling, Alec, that series is really just getting going. As this is picked up now toward the left side dot. Be sent back around the end boards here. Good forward check for Vegas and Bruce Cassidy's squad for a moment. They're in the mix of a change as the long foot will go all the way back now. Be an opportunity here for Vegas to send this one in alongside Jack Eichel. Eichel will give a look in toward the right side dot as Edmonton try to get it out of their own zone. This will be stick lifted at the moment. Played in a backhand, and Eichel will try to find this one in the corner. Evan Bouchard will slam it off the kick play. Draisaitl had a trouble with it for a moment off of the forward check here for Vegas. As we said, it's been good early. 18:40 left to go in the first round. With you alongside Alec or Rogers, please. Checking out Game 3. No shots just yet. More of a feeling out process here in about the first minute and a half. Corey Perry be a knuckle puck that goes up the blocker of Adin Hill. We'll get a whistle.
We talked about how often the top-heavy narrative is about the Oilers. That narrative has been dead for a while now.
Yeah.
And when we look at the Oilers now, we thought that this would not be a characteristic year for Edmonton. Well, now They seem to be finding their footing and their ideal lineups. They're finding the right combinations. But who would have guessed that they would put Corey Perry on the top line next to Draisaitl and McDavid?
Every time you bring that up, Alec, I still have to laugh because you mentioned it through the time machine in the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm thinking the same thing. But that goal that he had in Game 1 where he beat everybody to the front of the net, how do you let that guy beat you to the front of the net?
The old man still got it,
18:25 left to go in the first as Vegas will win the D-zone draw. Try to chip this one, and we'll try to see what happens more with Caden Korchak as he gets a little bit of promotion with all the injuries. Vegas injuries are not small. Here's a slap pass, Haig, and this will be the first save of the game for Stuart Skinner.
The first shot, the first save for Stuart Skinner. Need more of this. Game 6, he limited Vancouver to 1 goal in the West semifinals in his first game back from his benching. So this is an opportunity to build on his confidence and to take it one step at a time.
And I want to see what the shot suppression is going to look like. Again, I was in for a treat yesterday with the Jets. They completely shut down the Stars. Nico Rantanen was a -2, and he only had 1 shot. He's coming off back-to-back hats. But the way that they played in that first game, Edmonton, they just closed off Vegas in that first period. Second period, they only had 2 shots. There's just some sending around the end boards here for Evander King. Little reverse hit on Pietrangelo. Number 91 will pop back up, as this will fall all the way back to Stuart Skinner. Come out of his goal crease. Play confidently for Ty Emberson. Emberson in the mix alongside with Brett Kulak on that third line. John Klingberg's playing second line minutes. That's another guy I wouldn't imagine that wouldn't be playing top 4 minutes at this point, but Edmonton's been able to make it work. This eludes Nick Waugh. This will be a pinch in here for Emberson toward the right side boards. Pod Colson takes it. It's a play out front. Good save for Hill as he robbed Arvidsson. It's a big stop for Vegas netminder early as this gets sent back down the end boards and played by Skinner. Skinner now will take the back pass because Nick Waugh was giving up a forecheck. We'll start this one again from left to right in the mix of the orange and blue. And now this will be sent back and off the flip in. Hyman tries to go ahead and give this one a chase. He'll find it. His back pass just onside as Edmonton dangerous chance sails and hits the glass. And this will get a whistle.
I thought it was offside at first. I think nobody heard that whistle, but nonetheless, Vegas doing a good job early here. They balanced out the 4 lines, and the second line giving Vegas the Edmonton's second line is giving Vegas the early work here of Evander Kane and Zach Hyman. And not to mention about Brian Nugent-Hopkins. The third line's been a pleasant surprise between Trent Frederick, Adam Henrique, and Connor Brown. Brown's been active on both ends of the ice, and with Victor Arvidsson on the 4th line, that's a blessing to have if you're Edmonton.
Yes, it is. And again, they wouldn't imagine from several years ago with the LA Kings to ever have somebody like him on the 4th line. And you mentioned Connor Brown. He's got elite speed. That goal he scored in Game 1, he looked like Connor McDavid. As this is picked up now off the drop from Draisaitl. He's sent back in around the end boards now. Here's a pass right in the middle of the slot. Big clapper for Bouchard, stopped by the left pad of Aiden Hill. Bouchard's no stranger to throwing it up to 98 miles an hour. There's Draisaitl. Drop alongside for Perry. Number 90 picks it up and a cross-ice pass. Good puck movement here for Edmonton. Bouchard, patient now with Draisaitl. Here's a tip pass all the way across ice for Connor McDavid. That gets picked off. Vegas now able to try to brush this ahead, but it's too far for Jack Eichel to pick up with this skate blade. Shots are 2-1 Edmonton. 16 minutes, 4 minutes have expired in this first. John Utter with you alongside Alec Nava. This is a game that Vegas has to have. Trying to make it a 2-1 series. Edmonton goes up 3-0. I don't think they're going to have the ammunition of Vegas to come all the way back. They just don't have that same type of team anymore with that goaltending. As this is picked up the other way now for Hyman, with the exception of their defense, but Edmonton's defense has been pretty good throughout this last couple of postseasons. Be an opportunity now for Haig. Big cross check, glued right in the middle of the slot. Be sent back around now for RNH. He was stuck in his own end. Vegas now trying to get the forecheck. Here's a slap shot that goes short side. This is the left post. Pietrangelo now off the pinch as Walman trying to get this puck out now. Again, he was the first pick up there, first round pick from the San Jose Sharks. Again, Steve Yzerman didn't get that from the Red Wings, but Edmonton had to cash in to get Walman.
And he's provided steady defensive play on the second pairing next to John Klingberg. Game 2, it was a bit of a controversy because Brayden McNabb got tangled up with Victor Arvidsson, and it stinks because it's a 50-50 call. The officials didn't perceive it as tripping, but nonetheless, McNabb, he tried to put his pressure upright, just couldn't exit out because I believe that shoulder maybe bugging him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alec, and I have to ask that question again. I know you mentioned, how is that not a penalty? How do you not call that a stick in between? That's a dangerous fall from McNabb. Another short side chances as Zebra has to duck out of the way as we sent back down amongst the end boards. Even Hill going to elect to play, and 5 minutes have expired. Still scoreless here. Shot board is just 2 apiece. Noah Hannafin, former Calgary Flame. He's going to be a long mainstay for Vegas. He got that deal just the other year, and he's probably going to be here for about 5 or 6 more years at least. As Mattias Janmark, he gets all tied up and around the end boards here. Edmonton able to keep it in toward the left side red line and wrap it around the end boards. And off the spin and turn, here's Janmark off the lead. And the right side red line slapper. That one missed it all. Podkolzin try to wrap this around the end boards here as this gets picked up one more time for Victor Arvidsson. Arvidsson will take the pin. Hannafin will finally get this around. And now this is an opportunity here for the Road Whites and the black and a mix of the red and gold striping. Vegas Golden Knights need to get something going. Shot board is just 2-2, as you mentioned. Evan Bouchard off the slope. Good move, McDavid. And that shot sizzles as it blocks off some sticks and blades. Jack Eichel and Connor McDavid in that same draft class, 1 and 2. If McDavid wasn't in that draft class, Eichel would have been number 1, no doubt. As Barbashev will spin and turn, leave off the backhand here for McNabb. One more touch pass right at the slot for Barbashev. And that one is saved by Skinner, excuse me.
Evan Bouchard's defense is an underrated storyline. Ivan Barbashev gets a scoring look from the low slot. Bouchard tangled him up on the stick side, broke that pass up to prevent him from getting a goal towards any of the top corners. That made life easier for Skinner, but it had to take a juggle.
Yes, it did, and you're exactly right. If not for his back check, that might have been a 1-0 game already. I'm looking at another must-win, and the Celtics finally get a little bit of a laugher against the Knicks. 115-93, Tatum with 22, Jaylen Brown with 19, but 23 off the bench for Peyton Pritchard as the Celtics finally get on the board.
That's a must-win game for the Celtics after what happened in the first 2 games. When you dial up too many 3-point plays and settle for a contested breeze, that's not really something you want to go by. You want to go for the simpler plays. This time around, the Celtics settle for the simpler plays. Open breeze, driving towards the paint. Those are plays that get it done in today's era of the NBA, and that they did. Good job by the Celtics. If they warrant them out a 2-0 series comeback, this may be the starting point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Alec. And again, you said it right. In terms of the 3-point shooting, I saw one of the other games, the Celtics probably launched about 55 and hit maybe about 6% of them. This one now 20 of 40, much more balanced at 50%, but the Knicks were just 5 of 25 from distance.
The defense has been an underrated part of the Celtics game. So people who know about the difference between the Celtics and the Knicks, we're seeing the two of them right here. The Knicks know how to win tight games. The Celtics, they still need to learn how to win tight and close games, but we saw glimpses of that throughout last year's postseason when they faced the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, that Pacers-Cavs series, we can talk about that a little bit once we get into the intermission. That one's pretty interesting. Indiana still leads 2-1. All the road games have been won between both teams, and that Nuggets game was exceptional. I want to talk about that in the intermission just the other night as the Nuggets took control of that overtime. And Aaron Gordon might be one of the best clutch players in the NBA.
I guess he wasn't lying when he said, I'm doing everything to get Russell Westbrook a ring. That's now 3 game winners that he has hit so far in this postseason. He's such a nice underdog story for the Nuggets after many questions about him being a finisher and one of the better players on the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Alec, and I completely agree with you. We'll talk about that more. They moved the shot board up to 3-2, but this has been the kind of game as we get a whistle at 13:35. It was played at the high stick, but I think this has been the kind of game, at least for the shot suppression, that Edmonton wants here for Stuart Skinner.
Well, what we can talk about about the Vegas' defense, we need to give the Oilers' defense their credit. The one thing that we had question marks about throughout their run is the penalty killing. It's a fall from grace from what they were last year. But so far, at 5-on-5 defense, they've done their jobs and they've done good enough to win tight games.
Yeah, it's been serious enough, Alec, where I know we're in the semifinals now on the side of it, but really do feel like the Oilers have the opportunity to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals because they play so well 5-on-5. I think as it goes along, they might try to figure out that penalty kill a little bit more. I mean, last year, as you mentioned, they were otherworldly. You could almost never score on them. Their penalty kill was about 95% plus. There would be an opportunity the other way off the lead from Stone. That shot doesn't get there. Barbashev, who was moved up in the first line. A couple of years ago when Vegas won that Stanley Cup, Barbashev was an absolute monster. If they can try to unlock 49 a little bit, that would do them just desserts. This is sent in now for Draisaitl. Draisaitl now try to get around McNabb. And again, Alec had mentioned, you got to watch out a little bit for that shoulder. Here's an opportunity now for bouncing puck. And this would be Skinner coming out of his goal crease to play it to deny a breakaway here for Vegas. Again, first goal, neither is plus 3,500, so I guess don't bet on that. McDavid off the trailer shot, score! Beautiful setup there, Corey Perry.
Quack, quack, the former Anaheim Duck gets the Oilers on the board first, and McDavid with his patience. Well, Ian and I, they said in Game 2 in the previous time around at Las Vegas, you can only hold McDavid and Draisaitl off the score sheet for so long because they're bound to strike at any time. They were held off the score sheet all regulation in Game 2, but it didn't take long for McDavid to register a primary assist, and it is Corey Perry slots and right through Hill's glove band. That's a beautiful setup from McDavid. Right after he had that crossover on Jack Eichel. Let me show you who's number one, he says to Eichel.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, Alec. And as you mentioned, that's a perfect setup. And again, as we said, Corey Perry gets to walk unmarked right in the slot and just roof it wherever he wants. That can't happen if you're Vegas.
No, you need to do a better job defending the slot. You made adjustments in Game 2 to prevent goals from down low. You want to account for all points of the slot and with Edmonton's ferocious four-line attack.
Oh my goodness, 91-19 almost combined with Kane and Hyman. Edmonton now is, now there's some battles out in front of them now. We might be getting some penalty calls. We'll see in a moment.
Yeah, there's bad boy. I think Alex Pietrangelo is a little disgruntled up. I think he took a high stick right onto his face, and he is not looking good. Remember, he got bumped up to the top pairing right next to Shea Theodore, so as to account for the injury to Brady McNabb, and it's Evander Kane who is going to go out for 2 minutes. It's high sticking.
Yeah, it's near the right eye. Pietrangelo really trying to shake that one out as the play was going all over the place, and there's a big hit against the glass. I think maybe the hit against the glass is what caught maybe a piece of the visor into the eye.
Yeah, illegal check to the head. So my mistake. It was not high sticking. I got the impression that it was high sticking because he's feeling it close to his eye. But the hit to the head, that's not warranted. You cannot do that in hockey.
Alec, I know it's 12-16 left to go in the first, but considering where we are, and Vegas already down 2-0, this probably is a must score for Vegas on the power play.
They're 3-4-7 in this series, and the Oilers peak after being nearing 95% last year, they're just below 60% this year. This is about as must score for Vegas as it gets.
Eichel, his pass doesn't hit. Easy clear. Contact to the head is a minor for Evander Kane. He's fortunate there because, as you mentioned, a couple of these hits, we saw a dangerous one the other day when Adam Lowry got checked into the bench by Petrovic, but he was able to pop back up because Scheifele was able to save his bacon, but that one was crazy as well. Okay, another clear down for the Edmonton Oilers, and Vegas gets going here on their first power play. Good back skate and alongside for Theodore. Get a chance to stop this one again. Mark Stone will play this off the embankment. Here's a pass here for Tomas Hertl. Right in the high slot, Theodore will get this one back in the same spot. Theodore's pass right to Eichel. Good stick in the lane. We'll knock that away from Zach Hyman.
Good rush for Hyman to block off the passing lane from Shea Theodore. As I mentioned about Shea Theodore needing a breakout all game here, he needs to create passing lanes for himself. And that almost happened there. If if not for Hyman, who rushed up. He read the lane, and Hyman's one of the more underrated defensive-minded players in the league.
Yeah.
And he can account for that very well.
I agree with you, Alec. I think he's been all over. I know the moniker for Hyman has been able to get those doorstep tap-ins for Connor McDavid. When he's available to do that, he does that. But back where he is in the line, as you said, especially in the third, he's propensity for defense to do whatever they need. He scored a big goal in game one as well. And he can do it all. Here's Theodore. Now toward the left side blue line. Ekholm trying to sit up near that left out where he normally is. Hurdle will give this one back, and the pass just too hard. Bouncing out in front of the net a couple times. Olofsson can't stop it in. Good stop there for Skinner with the left pad, but it's not out. Theodore now. Here for Jack Eichel. Working to play at the bumper now, left side red line. Here's Eichel. He's waiting, trying to make something happen. Here's the pass. Gets fed all the way across. Nice up for Theodore. Back to Jack. Good pressure here for Edmonton. Stuff it at the goal line. This one gets knocked away. One time gets fanned on a broken stick. Oh, my goodness. Vegas had a great opportunity. Now they're playing a man down. Here's an opportunity now for Theodore. Eichel feed across. This one goes just wide. Vegas, that's unfortunate. This gets cleared down the ice. That counts as a penalty kill, but broken stick off of 1T. That one really stings. As Theodore now. Edmonton returns to full strength. Cough it up right out front. Scored! Oh no! They say it hit the post. I thought it went in. We're still live. This is out in front now. My goodness. My apologies. Picked up now for McDavid. This is getting all over the place. And now we'll start again. Nick Hague maybe can take a breath. Maybe I can too. I thought that was in. Might have hit the top of the bar. We'll take a look when we get a replay. Here's a chance out in front. This one will block off some skates. 6-4 on the shot board. Vegas and Edmonton just hit the post. Vegas had a broken stick. The hit now finally draws a whistle. Alec, we're seeing chaos.
Oh, it's all over the place. And Connor McDavid's going to draw a penalty, so Edmonton's going to go to the power play. 2 minutes for Zach Whitecross. So Vegas loses one of their best defensemen for this next sequence. We're seeing everything happen all over the place. We saw a near goal that hit the crossbar on the winning goal from Leon Draisaitl. I thought it hit the post once. It went in out in a hurry that I had trouble thinking that it was going to get into the net in game 2. But have you seen Ryan Nugent-Hopkins fly all over the ice on that penalty kill? He was everywhere. Bumper, left circle.
Yeah.
He accounted for the left side of the ice so well that he effectively shut everything off for Vegas.
Well, I'm thankful that Alec is here because I'm looking like an absolute buffoon because I thought that one was going in, but it hit the post. It was the same setup and alongside McDavid and Draisaitl, as Alec mentioned in the previous game, but that one hits the top of the bar. Vegas pretty fortunate. Again, we talk about a broken stick the other way. Now Edmonton's power play is going to get a chance to go to work. This has been a very entertaining series. And you know what? For all the niceties that we're throwing here alongside with the Edmonton Oilers, we're even doing the same thing alongside the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can't say for certain yet, Mr. Nava, but I guess I can't be surprised anymore. We'll see what Carolina does if they advance. But we could see a Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup final.
Oh, that would be Canada's dream if that were to happen. That we would be guaranteed a Canadian Stanley Cup champion for the first time since 1993. The last time we see 2 Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup final, you have to go back to Calgary, Montreal, 1986. If we do get Toronto, Edmonton, that's going to be a superstar on superstar battle. Not counting out Dallas,
Nope.
But you never know once the Stars reach the Western Conference final. I'm not counting them out just yet, though, because of how good Jake Oettinger has been. But you never know knowing the Stanley Cup final is. Edmonton still has to clean up some things, such as their puck management, which they need to take into account that they need to make things simpler. They need a boost from what they had 2 nights ago. Breakouts, discipline, puck management. Those are the 3 keys. And penalty kill, because that's obvious.
Yeah, like I'm right there with you. Lockstep, perfectly imperfect is probably what can describe the Edmonton Oilers. You know they got their own flaws, but the things that they're so good at, they're just so much better than the NHL with their offense, especially with their 2 superstars that they have, as this one's knocked up in the air. So Zach Whitecloud on interference against Connor McDavid. It's 9:15 left to go in the first, and if this first period carries over to the second, I know Alec Nava is going to have a treat. This will be dropped off for Perry, but his pass uncharacteristically goes too far back and across the blue line. will start again. And alongside for Draisaitl, that last play before we went to break was a near miss in the top of the crossbar. Doesn't even count as a shot on goal because it hit the pipe. McDavid toward the right side drop here for Bouchard. He doesn't like to let the slapper go this time. Now I'll go for the wrister. Bouchard scores. Aiden Hill never saw it. So much traffic in front of the net.
Oh, now we get the goal that we've been waiting for. This one will count. Evan Bouchard with the initial shot. Oh my goodness, is that Corey Perry again? What is that? I mean, if you put Corey Perry on the bumper, that's the same thing that Zach Hyman was doing last year. You put Perry or Hyman on the top unit, you would not be wrong with either one. Net front goals, if you want net front goals, you can rely on either one of them. Perry deflects this shot that was going wide of the left post. Excellent tip. As I said, old man still got it. It's 6 days until he turns 40.
But Alec, I scratch my head because I know his game is physical. He's right out in front. Corey Perry never looks slow either. He feels like he just fits right into this first line.
Yeah, it feels like he just drank all the fountain of youth in Edmonton, and he found his footing that he once did with Ryan Getzlaf all those years ago.
His fifth of the postseason already. His 59th in his career. I mean, Corey Perry, when it's all said and done, he's going to have one hell of an NHL career. He's just trying to get a Stanley Cup. He's played in the finals a ton. He's already had one before, but it's been a while for him. It's picked up now and amongst the end boards. And it's already a 2-0 lead for Edmonton. I know we got a long way to go, but this almost feels like Vegas is on life support here because Corey Perry has been able to feed them their lunch. If they don't get this next goal, I don't know what's going to happen. As Pietrangelo trying to feed it up in the middle of the slot now for Tomas Hertl. And Corey Perry with 8:05 left to go in the first is in first period hat trick watch. So that tells you the way that this game has been going. 6-4 on the shot board for Vegas, but 2 goals against Aiden Hill. Probably at least one of those you can do nothing about off that tip. It's Perry from Bouchard and RNH. And as Alec mentioned, RNH was everywhere in the penalty kill. Now he gets a secondary assist. I mean, Edmonton looks really good. There is an opportunity near the point. This one will get deflected. Good work there. And alongside for Victor Arvidsson trying to spring this right up the gut. Almost forced to steal. And alongside for Hyman now Haig. Have tried to get this one going the other way. Vegas has got to get in the offensive end and get some sustainability. As this is off the drop now. Sending around the end boards for Nick Waugh. And the high slot. Here's another pass right out in front trying to find Keegan Kolesar. Waugh trying to find this and we're doing escape blades. Lays for Hanifin near the left dot. He's going to cruise toward the middle of the slot here. And the Vegas Golden Knights are kept on the outside. Theodore, knuckle puck. This will bounce toward the right side boards. Bouchard got a piece of it with the body. And Edmonton able to send this one down the ice. They are in complete control at the moment. I don't want to hold myself too much because Vegas had a 2-0 lead in the first before Corey Perry scored that one in game 1 to make it a 2-1. But it was a couple of goals for Mark Stone. It looked like Vegas was in cruise control, and then Edmonton took over with 4 straight. But this does feel different. Here's an opportunity now where McDavid almost broke through 3 players. Here's Barbashev. He goes for the clapper. He missed it all near the left post. He was trying to score there on Skinner. This will be slowed back down for Jack Eichel. Give it back to his defense here, and Jack, with his head up in the air, he's just going to go ahead and go to the bench. Everybody going to get a chance to take a change. McNabb's pass. Here's an entry across the left side for Wild Bill. Pass at the net. And that one for Riley Smith. Just a left pad save there for Stuart Skinner. Here's a rush the other way. This will be defended by Vegas. They'll get this out of their own zone near the right dot. Start again from left to right for Edmonton, who's in a great position in this game, trying to go up 3-0 in the series. And that is not an easy feat to do against Vegas. It'll be a big time for them. Sending behind the end boards now. Players will come together near the right side dot. We'll see who emerges with it. As it's an opportunity now to the left side red line. And this will be sent in partially deflected by Vegas. We'll finally get a whistle at 5:34.
Everything's happening for Vegas. Everything's happening for Edmonton, but this is a nightmare start for Vegas. Riley Smith almost gets a tap-in goal for William Karlsson. That's the old connection between the 2 original misfits, and they're on the third line. Initially, they were first liners with Jonathan Marchessault as their winger, but that needed to be one there for Smith and Carlson to connect with one another. They usually don't miss there, but that time they did, which is unfortunate for Vegas.
I'm wondering, Alec, and I know this is blasphemy to say because we still have 5:34 left to go in this first, but I'm just wondering where it's going to come from for Vegas because from what I saw in game one, I know game two was wide open, but this game one and game three almost look identical in terms of Edmonton's defense. And when they play like this, you already mentioned the 5-on-5 play. They know how to score. Corey Perry's already got a couple. A few years ago, I think Vegas would be able to match up with anybody, but right now, I just don't think that they're strong enough to take out the Oilers.
The thing is, though, when a team is winning, won a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, there's a phenomenon called the cup tax. Well, you want to have the key players stay along. That means Eichel, Stone.
Sure.
You kept those two along. Most of your key players in those cup runs are still here. Unfortunately, cost-cutting moves are going to factor into roster construction. But Vegas, we talk about how they can roll all four forward lines, but nowadays it feels like it's Edmonton that can be able to roll all four forward lines, and Vegas is the one that's a step behind, despite the fact that Edmonton finished third in the Pacific.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's fair to say about the cap and the cost cutting and all that stuff, the price of winning the cup. Look, you made a lot of those moves over the last few years. We know about that. Jack Eichel, Tomas Hertl, Alex Pietrangelo. You have those big swings. You brought in Max Pacioretty from a few seasons ago. I know he sustained some injuries, but you're right. Noah Hanifin now. At some point, you're not going to be able to put the rest of that roster around you. And Vegas is still deep. But from the games that I've watched, I know they got past Minnesota, but they did not make it look easy. And Vegas just doesn't feel like that dominant team that we're used to seeing. I know some other fans outside of Vegas aren't going to be missing that point because they don't want to see them have success. But this is just not what we're used to seeing from this team. And we'll see how much longer they can be in that Stanley Cup window because I think at some point, Alec, in the next couple of seasons, is Dorofeev now trying to throw some fists and alongside White Cloud, they're going to blow this play dead. But I'm going to say in this next point, in the next couple of seasons, Vegas might not be in that window anymore.
Vegas has been in a Stanley Cup conversation nearly every year of their existence. It's natural that teams would rebuild at time to time.
Yeah.
In Vegas, they did a little retool right before they won the Stanley Cup, and it paid out for them. Now you got to wonder if they don't have the appropriate pieces. They lost Marchessault. They lost Chandler Stevenson this past free agency. They made some moves to fill up those gaps, and Pavel Dorofeev being into the second line full time. Brett Howard getting extended looks on the third line with William Karlsson and Riley Smith. They brought in Brandon Saad. They brought in Victor Olofsson. They brought in Tanner Pearson. It's good to have the better experiences. The question is, are they the right fit? Saad is the right fit, but what about Pearson?
Yeah, I haven't seen Tanner Pearson do much of anything, but here's his chance. This one is a late pass across. Pearson was wide open. Rolling puck goes in. We just talked about Vegas needed it, and they did provide it on that bottom line.
Yeah, Tanner Pearson on the ice. Nick Hague with the initial shot. Nick Waugh, who took that cross-check to Trent Frederick's face last game. He gets the first goal for Vegas, so that's one that they need to have at badly. He was the one driving into the inside. Won the pass for Pearson, won to poke this one home. Pearson drove towards Skinner, and off the rebound, Waugh gets the puck right off of Hague's shot. It came in and out of Skinner as he misplayed the puck. And I think Skinner was like, I think this is one that Skinner would love to have back because he gave him a juicy rebound right on Waugh's doorstep.
He did, Alec, and I kind of wonder, he did a great job, Skinner, of holding on to that left post. I thought he closed everything off. Somehow the puck fell beneath him, and as you mentioned, Nick Waugh is able to get the easiest tap-in of all time. We were just talking about Vegas. That's apropos that they end up finishing it off, because, again, Nick Waugh is one of those guys that's been there for a long time. You can move him between the second, third, and fourth line, and he's one of those guys generally that doesn't miss a beat. Corey Perry hasn't missed one either, as this will be drop now. And alongside that first line, here's an opportunity right at the net. Darnell Nurse try to find McDavid. And now Vegas has to get this out of their own zone. Jack Eichel is so good being able to carry the puck. He's kind of a big rig as far as being able to move things around. Ekholm now tries to get the steal off the stick lift, but Edmonton able to escape the pressure. And it's Noah Hannafin that eludes it away from McDavid. It's Nick Waugh from Hague. That goal was badly needed. See what Tomas Hertl could do. Beautiful move. Oh my goodness, what a goal!
Riley Smith, are you kidding? Backhand, forehand. He looked like Connor McDavid out there, taking a goal into the zone and has tied this game up at 2. We were wondering about what Vegas needs to do to get back at this. But now they're all evened up here at 2 apiece on the goal sheet. It's the drop pass, and Smith just did the rest, going inside, outside, putting the gap on this fourth line between Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. Oh my goodness. And he was able to sneak in 5-0. That is gorgeous.
Thank you for that, Alec, because I know I mentioned the wrong name. It's Riley Smith. I thought it was Hertl because I didn't know Riley Smith could make those moves like that. He took Connor Brown's special from Game 1. He put it to Game 3. I just had this conversation with you alongside Vegas. I guess their ears must have been burning. This is a tie game now.
They must have. If they needed this to get back at this. If Vegas needs to win one, it's desperately this one. They finally got the memo.
That was an incredible move for Riley Smith. I mean, he undressed the defense. 2 goals in 54 seconds. Skinner, one of those you could blame in the mix of Nick Waugh, but I don't know how Skinner's going to be able to stop that because Riley Smith just skated through the defense.
I guess watching highlight film for McDavid and Draisaitl's overtime winner last night does help out a lot. But do remember, role players can put up fancy moves as well, and Smith just did that.
9-4 on the shot board. Again, about 5 minutes ago, I felt like I was writing the post-mortem for Vegas. I know it's just 2-0 in the series, but that was life that they found. Now the most important part for Vegas is make sure you keep the scoreline where it is or improve upon it. You don't want to let Edmonton try to get back into this because those are 2 incredible goals. This is now dropped the other way for Will Karlsson. He's trying to get around the defense. He gets taken down. And there's no way Vegas doesn't get energy out of this. As Brett Howden, this is a baseball-style snack for Skinner, as we get some pushing and shoving behind the net.
If I'm Edmonton, got to be careful here with the pushing and shoving because sometimes it can spiral out of control. And good job by the officials to separate Trent Frederick and Riley Smith afterwards. Stuart Skinner, he needs to find his game again because last time around, when he came back onto the goal crease in the playoffs, he gave up 1 goal. Here he's given up 2 here in the first period. Once again, it's about finding your game. At least one of them he wanted to have back. The other one, there's just no way he was stopping that. But once again, he needs to find that game and be comfortable in the goal crease.
Yeah, we'll have to find that, Alec, because we're going to have to wonder how long Calvin Pickard's going to be out. I know in between, I know you and I could have that conversation as well. You think about it for how many weeks, months, years ago for Calvin Pickard, he probably never was expected to be in this spot. RNH gets the steal, and this one wide of Aiden Hill was trying to check it. This missed to the right side of the boards. Working behind the net now. Here's an opportunity. Hyman trying to center it out. Here's another clapper right at the net. Oh my goodness, what a stop by Hill with the right pad. That should have been an automatic goal. This will be flipped back the other way for Tomas Hertl. Hertl now trying to give a chase on Skinner, and this one will bank in off the glass of Vander Kane. Will send it back to his defense. We've had a lot of action put on top of us between Alec Nava and I. John, under with you on the call. Alec's going to take over in the second. Hopefully we can maintain this same type of pace because this feels like a shootout. Send away the other way for Leon Draisaitl. Will get his own turn and around the inboards, try to lead it. Edmonton there, Corey Perry off the drop. He gets hit hard by McNabb. That's what you got to do against Corey Perry. He's still a big man, locomotive, can get the job done. He's already scored twice. This is sent the other way as Tanner Pearson gets cut off. And Evan Bouchard's going to have to pick up his twig. Edmonton now try to go left to right. Leon Draisaitl's pass gets partially blocked, gets it back. Corey Perry, see what he can do as he will take this pass in behind the net. This will be sent back in. Good chip ahead. Allows Edmonton to get position. Good play off the bumper here for Perry. Perry out in front of the net, trying to turn around. Took 4 Golden Knights to take the puck away from him. Here's an opportunity now off the rush, and Ekholm gets dispossessed. He had Riley Smith in behind him. Smith was probably already feeling himself for that last goal. Here's a drop off the trail, and this one will bounce up and on a play.
A 2 Bouchard cuts off Jack Eichel, not allowing him to get a look on the 2-on-1. Riley Smith was riding along with him. The Oiler defense is doing just enough to stay into this tie hockey game. Brett Kulak fires that clapper, but Evander King, while he gets boxed out by Nick Hague, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scoops it up on the backhand to try to stuff that one in. Aiden Hill with a beautiful kick save and a beauty.
Corey Perry, 224 games, which is first, 59 goals, fourth, 134 points, which is seventh, all in the playoffs. Does help because it seems like as every calendar year goes along, Alec, Corey Perry finds himself in the postseason. He has moved quite around quite a bit, but he's always been a factor. This is his sending behind the inboards. Again, as Alec mentioned, about to turn 40, and he's in that first line dominating. Here's a pass in behind the inboards now, as this will be picked off by Vegas. Try to go right to left. William Karlsson, full flight off the drop for Barbashev. Another look here now for Bruce Cassidy's squad. This wrister gets blocked out in front. This goes toward the left side of the bumper, White Cloud. Then this toward the right side for Hague. Here's an outstretched stick reach for Barbashev. Hanifin, good pass. Hanifin will elect for the pass. Probably should have shot that. And a back line skate, thankfully, for Howden. We'll get this pickup here for Vegas. All this around the inboards. Again, the shot board reads just 9-6, but there's been 4 goals, 2 aside. As this will be settled back down for Pietrangelo. Time for one more Vegas rush. Karlsson near the right side wing. He'll send this one in deep. Back for Keegan Kolesar. Kolesar tries to finish his hit. Down to 10 seconds. Karlsson will take a look one more time as he gets a brace near the right side. Howden try to find it down to 5. Vegas throw it around the goal mouth. And that is going to end the first 2-2 as we get some more pushing. Kulak wants a piece of Howden. This one's going to draw a crowd.
It's been a high-energy first period between the Perry goals and Vegas with the response to the 2 goals afterwards. And that excellent penalty kill by the Edmonton Oilers on the Vegas Golden Knights. One that they so desperately needed in that opening frame because the penalty kill has been the polar opposite this year compared to last year's penalty kill. They're still in this one, both teams. But Vegas, they're playing like a desperate team wanting to win one.
I know you mentioned this alongside Stuart Skinner. We're going to have to follow it because Shopboard officially shots on goal 9-6 Vegas. And that first, the hits, 17-7 for Vegas. Faceoffs, 11-8 for Edmonton. You mentioned that penalty kill side. Edmonton looked good. There wasn't a lot of power plays to be had. Giveaways, not too many. But we'll see if Stuart Skinner can find his game because we have to figure out, Alec, the golden question. And there is a pun there for Edmonton in the mix. How long is Calvin Pickard going to be out? I guess we'll find that as this series goes along. But what I did see in the schedule, every other day, these teams will be playing. So no extended days off after we change venues.
So that may be something to monitor for Edmonton. The latest we read of them is that he is day-to-day with his injury. So they're going to check up on him tomorrow to see his status. If he can return sooner, that'll be the best news for him because he's performed close enough to admirable in this postseason. And he's doing just enough to keep the Oilers afloat.
Corey Perry got his 4th of the postseason, the first of this game from McDavid and Draisaitl at 7:19, and then answers on the power play as Whiteclaw ended up going to the box. It was Bouchard and Nugent-Hopkins that went at 11-12. Nick Waugh then answers with a slap shot from Hague. Probably should have been had there for Stuart Skinner. He was hugging that left post. It went underneath his leg, and Nick Waugh gets the tap in, assisted by Keegan Kolesar as a seconder, and then Riley Smith, my goodness, undresses the defense, gets his second of the postseason at 16-11, about 45-some seconds apart from Eichel and Zach Whitecloud. Stuart Skinner, 7 of 9, and Aiden Hill, 4 of 6. Again, we can talk about everything that we mentioned with Skinner, and we did. We can say the same thing for Aiden Hill. He just hasn't been on his game. And in between these two teams, Edmonton, I think, is very comfortable between Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner. But for Akira Schmid, I don't think Aiden Hill is going to be able to lose his job. But if he gets absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree, you got to figure out something. Because if Vegas goes down 3-0, you might have to turn somewhere else.
might have to. Schmidt has limited production here so far in the postseason. Was solid in the first round against the Rangers in 2023. Against the Hurricanes was a different story. But so far, he's been more of an unproven bag here so far. 1856, and he has stopped 9 of 9 so far in the postseason. That's not big enough a sample size to determine how good someone may be. But we don't know how Schmidt's going to truly pan out here in Vegas. But we do know how good the penalty kill is for the Golden Knights so far after it was up and down in the regular season. It's been the wild ride for them.
Yes, it has. I want to draw your attention to a couple of the games tomorrow, Alec, if you don't mind. Again, I'll be watching a little bit, not be available for the Mother's Day side. But the first one is the Jets and the Stars. It'll be about 4:30 Eastern. And the Stars get the chance to go back home to American Airlines. Look, I don't think either one of these teams mind a 1-1 series. I'm pretty sure, Alec, it was partially expected. But that game that the Jets played just the other night was their best game of the playoffs, bar none. And Connor Hellebuck made some outstanding saves when he absolutely robbed Evgeny Dadonov and then Sagan and Ben on that 2-on-1. I think the Stars can play much better, but what I noticed of the Jets was just the amount of pressure that they put on guys like Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen. And they put Mikko Rantanen in a box yesterday.
If they locked him up just to account for no more hat tricks from him, even if it's in a single period. He's been terrorizing the league ever since Game 5 against the Colorado Avalanche in that first round of series. Between the Winnipeg and Dallas, Winnipeg has found their footing here at home. The question is if they can do it on the road, because so far road games have not been kind to them in the postseason. They've lost every one of those 3 games against the Blues, and Hellebuck got pulled in each one of them. They can secure things somehow home. The question is if they can match that on the road. Hellebuck had the game that he wanted at home. On the road, in front of a hostile environment, they need to match that same energy, and they need to keep this play up from what they had in Game 2. But you were right that was the best game that they played so far in the postseason. The defense was excellent. The penalty killing was excellent.
And Alec mentioned it as far as the primo observation for Connor Hellebuck, because they threw that out there. Coming off the shutout for the first time since 2021 in the postseason. And every other game for Connor Hellebuck, we're talking about 780, 800 save percentages, stuff that is unlike him in the regular season because he's about to win his 3rd Vezina in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he's just not been that same netminder. The Jets need to play that way. Their shot suppression is about 110 less to everybody else. Look, I know the St. Louis Blues didn't manufacture a ton of shots, but when they did shoot, they scored, and that made it a long series, if not for Adam Lowry and the double OT. But Alec's right. Connor Hellebuck, it rests on his shoulders. Jets got to find that same type of game, and until we actually see them do that on the road, I think I still have to give the advantage to the Stars tomorrow.
That's how I'm feeling the same way, too. And Dallas has the forward depth to match up with Winnipeg, even with the returns of Mark Scheifele and Josh Morrissey to the Jet lineup. Dallas just got Jason Robertson back, and he's skating on the third line, the top line of Granlund, Hintz, and Rantanen, known by Dallas Stars fans colloquially as the Finnish Mafia. They've been tearing it up as of late.
Yeah. That's a great name. You really can't tear up that Finnish Mafia because Mikko Rantanen is spearlining it, and you got Roope Hintz and everything else in there too. Excellent players. I know we talked about the Maple Leafs and the Panthers a little bit, but Alec, I'm going to throw out this narrative to you. Again, it's one game, desperation for the Panthers. They had to have it. Brad Marchand ends up getting the goal. Fine. Again, Toronto knows it from Boston's side. I know he's been a terror, but it was one that the Panthers had to have. What I really want to see, I think the Leafs are able to bounce back, but in between Joseph Woll and Sergei Bobrovsky, we mentioned this before, Bobrovsky, he's really the only other one standing in the goal crease because they don't have Spencer Knight anymore. And that traded alongside with Seth Jones that moved in the Chicago Blackhawks. If I'm a Panthers fan, I want to see a better game from Big Bob.
Yeah. And if I'm a Leaf fan too, I would want to see a better game with Joseph Woll. Now, Woll is in the meantime, he is the one starting because Stolarz is out. Bobrovsky, there's no such injury designation in this case. He's 36 years old. and we wonder how much he has left in the tank. But still, this is a guy that stole you Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
This is the same guy that can win you playoff games at any given moment. And if I'm a Panther fan, especially if I'm Jalen Waddle sitting near the rink side, I want to see a better game from Big Bob here. Because that game was too close for comfort. High scoring, and not the type of game that you want to believe is a type of playoff game. Because you rarely see track meets in the postseason. But so far, this series can be described as a track meet and a half.
Yeah, and I don't know if Florida, look, they play the physical game, but you and I mentioned it too when alongside with Toronto. They like to do the same thing. Toronto is so much better equipped than they were a couple of years ago when these two teams met in that same spot and Toronto lost in 5. The Maple Leafs really are still in the driver's seat here. It's up to Big Bob to play a better game. I think both of us agree that he can do so. But if you're Florida, you got to be able to shut down that Toronto attack. And if you don't do that, you might be looking at a 3-1 series deficit as early as tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not going to give the edge to either one, but I know Florida has the championship experience. Toronto has the scoring experience. But I want to see more from Austin Matthews. William Nylander is doing his part. John Tavares, Matt Nyes are doing their parts. Even Mitch Marner is doing his part. Matthews is trying to get on the defensive end. I like that from him. We need to see more goal scoring with the former 2-time 60-goal scorer in the NHL. Where's the goal scoring going to come from? Is it going to come from one-timers at the right side? Is it going to come from drives to the net front? I like what the Toronto defense is doing. They match up perfectly against Florida.
Yeah, I like their defense too. I was surprised in one of the games I covered there for Game 1 that you're looking at guys like Simon Benoit, Jake McCabe, and all that, Chris Tanev. Those guys were scoring goals.
It's bizarre to see because those three are shutdown defensemen. Oliver Ekman-Larsson turned to a pure offensive defenseman to a two-way defenseman with shutdown capabilities. That's amazing from him on his turnaround.
Yeah, and I think Craig Berube deserves a lot of credit there alongside. I know we agree there, but he's kind of transformed that. You want to not see the same old song and dance from Toronto. And again, as we talk about too, this could be if the core four and they win a Stanley Cup, hey, you're keeping the team together. But you've already seen it so many years. If it goes the other way, it's probably going to get blown up at least a little bit, whether or not John Tavares takes a sweetheart deal or whatever they move along. I'm just going to quickly jump into the NBA, and then I'll leave it wherever you want to go with the rest of this, Alec. But I want to talk about just the other day for the Nuggets and the Thunder. Again, that one goes in OT, and I kept hearing it alongside the ESPN side between Mark Jones and the mix of it. They kept mentioning and hammering it down that Jokic just didn't have a good shooting game. I had to laugh a little bit to myself, Alec, because he's put in such a high standard, and one game that he doesn't shoot well, all of a sudden everybody's surprised. But when the Nuggets get into that OT, they just disemboweled the Thunder and took it to them.
When it's not him, it's basically the supporting cast around Jokic. That he had himself a poor shooting night for his standards, even for the 20 points, 16 rebounds. The 16 rebounds were crucial for the win. Even for the two MVP candidates having themselves poor shooting nights. SGA with 18 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. Those rebounds and assists are what stood out on what was an otherwise a poor shooting night. And Jalen Williams was actively keeping OKC in this one with his 32 points. Game high, by the way. But the difference was Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. Those two were what stood out for Denver in getting the win. AG has been on a tear as of late in this postseason. And the Nuggets may have found themselves another playoff gem to go with Jamal Murray. How can you explain Jamal Murray? No All-Star game appearance, yet he's a playoff riser. And that's what teams that contend for postseasons need. They need playoff risers. Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray are two of them.
I wonder, Alec, because you can explain that, but I wonder if Jamal Murray, every single time you get to those selections, he's got to be awfully close on the fringe. He's never been able to break through, but when they really need him, that's why they signed him that deal. You got Jokic. I thought bringing in Westbrook was smart, especially off the bench. And I imagine alongside with the Denver Brass, they probably didn't expect Aaron Gordon to be this good.
They did, but now he is. Not exactly doing dunks or say for the one he did on the Clippers in Game 4 of that series, but he can shoot and he can go with layups, get towards the dirty areas of the court. He's just that good.
I'm looking at this and alongside for the TNT side of it, and I see Rick Tocchet back in the intermission in the post game. Alec, do you think it's only a matter of time before Tocchet goes back in behind an NHL bench?
Perhaps. We don't know where exactly he's going to go, but we already saw 2 coaching vacancies get filled. Mike Sullivan with the Rangers. I wish him the best of luck over at Broadway, and Joel Quenneville to the Ducks, which really has an odd feeling inside my head because of all the situations off the ice. That's just going to cause a PR nightmare.
Alec, I won't dive too much into that because of the amount of time. I mean, we could talk about it, and I saw your tweets. I saw some other stuff from all the other journalists, people that are well respected, and yourself as well respected, at least among my eyes. I really appreciate all the work that you do. And I look at the comments section untoward all of that stuff, and that's where my disgust really lies. You know exactly where I'm going with that. Look, you can talk about it for Joe Quenneville, and you and I can say the same thing. He's one of the most decorated coaches in the NHL, alongside Scotty Bowman, who spent a long time with Montreal and the Red Wings. Success brings you opportunities. Granted, we understand that, but at the same time, you cannot dismiss all the stuff surrounding Quenneville and the Blackhawks as a simple mistake. That is where I draw my ire, and alongside everyone else in the comments section, that just treat it like a simple mistake, because no, that was an investigation. That was more than allegations. That was people's pride and life on the line in the mix of all these other players. And look, I'll say this too, honestly, Alec, if there ever comes a day where you and I or any of us in our family had kids, sons, daughters, anything else like that, and they are put in that situation where something has to get done for them to get their shot, you would never want that situation to find the light of day, and you would hope you work in an organization where they're more responsible and stop things before they even get started, not just because they were in the middle of a Stanley Cup run and won championships.
Yeah. Someone's mental health or well-being should be sacrificed for the sake of winning championships. That's just straight up wrong there from the Chicago Blackhawks, with Joe Quenneville was directly involved in the cover-up of those allegations. And the fact that he got hired in the midst of this, look, I'm not surprised that the hiring took place.
Right.
The moment that he and Stan Bowman were both reinstated, I thought that was inevitable that he was going to be hired by a team eventually. But it's just a sour taste in our mouths. Those were allegations in which Quenneville helped cover up. There's no need to sweep this under the rug. Kyle Beach is first and foremost a human being with thoughts and emotions. What he does on the ice is a separate discussion to what happened on the allegations.
Yes.
Like that's just the fact that this was all over the fact that this happened and Quenneville got hired by Anaheim. I'm sorry, that's something that the Ducks should not have done. Rick Tocchet and Jay Woodcroft were both right there. Don't say David Carl because he went back to get to DU to coach the Pioneers. But Rick Tocchet and Jay Woodcroft, I would have gone with those 2 coaching options over Joe Quenneville. I'm sorry, but that was a big mistake by the Ducks.
Alec, I'm in complete agreement with you, and I'm not saying that as one of your good friends. We worked together for a long time. I agree, because let's look at it too. Joe Quenneville's already had a long career. He's had a lot of success. He's already at the end of his road. What's the reasoning to bring him in unless he's going to be maybe just a 1 or 2 year linchpin to try to get the Ducks in the right direction? We understand that's what that's for, but there's still such a lot of young, good talent on the Ducks. You would think you would want to go to a different direction if you're Pat Verbeek. I wish that they would have done so. My only guess in between Gary Bettman and Stan Bowman and all of that, because we had that discussion, but they've gone through all the classes and everything else that they need to do. Fine. The other thing for me that then needs to be done then, Alec, for Joe Quenneville, if he's asked to go ahead and go to some of these other classes, some of these other meetings, talk to people out in front, he needs to be able to keep his door open alongside Stan Bowman and do the other things if he's asked in the community and show that they've made the changes in behind the bench.
Exactly. Show that you are a man of your word. Show that you will become a better person. Live up to what you said on your opening press conference and show that you are a changed man and show that you are a better person than what happened 15 years ago during that Stanley Cup run. I will hold Joe Quenneville to that standard all the time for his tenure with Anaheim, just like I'm doing to Stan Bowman now.
Well, I really appreciate having that conversation with you. I'm glad we got that done in a timely fashion as well, on top of everything else. This has been a really entertaining game. I want you to take over this second period. Let's have some fun with it.
Here we go with the second period. Alec Nava, John Ott. After a very eventful first period where Vegas scored twice in 54 seconds, let's see what the Oilers have to show of it. They're starting with the third line out there of Frederick, Henrique, and Brown, as this is fired down the ice where Phil gloves it, or Zach Whitecloud, who took a penalty earlier in the game. Inside is Wild Bill to the near corner. Boxed out by two Oilers as it comes behind the net for Victor Olofsson. Towards the left point, across for Whitecloud. Whitecloud to the net, fired wide. Picked up now by Darnell Nurse. Comes in front for Frederick. Acquired at the deadline a free team trade from the Boston Bruins via the New Jersey Devils. Right behind the net, shoved towards the near side as his puck goes up the wall, and it's iced with Jake Walman coming through.
You mentioned that line alongside Frederick or Brown. I see Jake Walman there, but it seems over the last couple of years, Alec, that bottom six has been able to be reinvented. They moved Corey Perry now to the first good depth for the Oilers as they're showing some of those goals. There's been a lot going on in the first. Now we're going to see if Stuart Skinner can find a way to be on the top of his game in this second period.
What the front office wanted to do is find an ideal third line after the losses of Warren Fogle and Ryan McLeod in the offseason. And they got that in the likes of Frederick and Brown on the third line to join Henrique. Henrique's a good third line center to have, as once again, no, we are not having an icing as Walman will hand out for Bouchard. I thought there was going to be an icing. Stuart Skinner was going for such. Bouchard holds up and will send it up on for the backhand to Aiden Hill. We place on the backhand, tie up right behind the net. Theodore trying to escape. Shane Theodore on the backhand. Jack Ekholm moves up onto the far side. A tie up, and the Oilers can't move this through. Vegas comes back with this. Here is Brett Howden. Little toe drag. The puck disagreed with him, and so did the Oilers. Break wide on the pass from McDavid. Up for Perry. This bounced south of him and is collected up by Edmonton. Perry right behind the net. Forced wide by Theodore. Towards the one-timer at the high point. And that one was stopped by Hill. On the keep is Nugent-Hopkins. RNA trying to find an open lane. Barbashev forces him aside. Howden trying to play his hand onto this. On the far corner, Draisaitl trying to get things around, and he does. For the near side bounce up. Skinner calling for another icing. He will not get that call. John Klingberg will start up. Klingberg for the far side. Klingberg shifts it around, and RNH will be the first to touch up. Or rather, Draisaitl. Carlson fed it up, and now moving for the near side lane is Tomas Hertl. Hertl, the former Shark, boxed out by Darnell Nurse, and tried to help him one of the Knights, but two Oilers combined there to take it away. For the far side, here's the feed. Backed it off the far wall, and getting slowed down was Zach Hyman. Ran into by one of the Knights, and Aludor Fan comes back up with this. Chipped away by Ty Everson, and on the third pairing here for Edmonton is King, backhands it deep. RNH too far for him. Vegas will reset with this. Through the middle, Riley Smith chips it around. Everson there to backhand it away. And over the near half boards, the Oilers get it out their own zone and upper center ice. Settled down by the Knights at the logo. Law for Colasar. Two of the mainstays on this fourth line after William Carrier left. Up the far boards. Smith trying to hold it in. Through the far boards, Smith pressured. Chipped away on the forehand by Waugh. Sent in deep and around through the end boards. Whitecloud boxed out. And at the near corner, Kulak wants to take it away. Colasar there. Held inside. And could not be held inside by Jack Eichel, who is back out there on the ice. Hannafin, his Four Nations face-off teammate with Team USA. Moved up the middle for Ivan Barbashev. Bouchard to the far corner, cross corner. Bouchard collects it up, backhands it around, a little too far for him. Walman will tip it back for Bouchard, overskated. Brett Howden kept it in. Howden intercepted, and the Oilers will take it up. So far, it's been all Vegas here in the second period. And they continue to have it their way here as they do a stick lift here near the penalty box doors. The Oilers shoot it wide of Hill. On the chase down is Connor Brown. The far side down. Vegas wants to move this one up, and it'll be gloved down, moving inside. Break wide for Barbashev, was all tied up in the near half boards. The Knights wanting to take their first lead this game as Nurse brings himself on a hit from Barbashev. Oilers control. Moving it up. Partial break here for the far side. Here is Brown. Connor Brown allowed for the corner. Out front. And Aiden Hill made the stop. Tie up here at the near half boards. Vegas gets it out. Darnell Nurse. So far, no shots in this second period. Adam Henrique sets up top of the left circle. Gets it back towards the deep left flank. Nurse across the point. Set up pass. Missed Brown by an inch. And Vegas, that was deflected out as Matt McPherson saw that one deflected out.
Well, we'll see who has the advantage of this because, as you mentioned, we're almost 5 minutes to this period. You had no shots on the board. That pass for Brown right in the middle of the slot, if that would just got a stick, I think probably a good chance to shoot on that one-timer. As Brown and Henrique, that one got sailed wide near the right post.
Oh, we almost thought it was going to be Caden Korshak in the game. What was a miracle? Brandon McDavid made it to the game.
Yeah, again, we were able to call his in a little bit in the first. He wasn't even supposed to play.
He wasn't, but now he's here. He wasn't supposed to play because of that shoulder injury, but a last-minute addition, which is the best possible news for the Golden Knights. Back over to the players, Bouchard. Let's one go. Bouchard in front and cleared away by the Knights as Hunter DeLinks is banging the drums right near the near corner boards. Vegas sends it in deep. Towards the far corners, Kulak had to help hold out two Knights, but Hurdle scoops it up out of that scuffle. Chipped away the top of the left circle, and the Oilers get it out. They took an early 2-0 lead, but who's going to come out here when it matters the most? Edmonton re-enters, right side, moving back deep as this went around Hill. Whitecroft picks it up, has Wall right in front of him. Instead, we're moving up in the far boards. Sends it deep as Bouchard matches up his man, Colasar. Hurdle, tied up by Kulak right behind that. Bouchard frees it up for Corey Perry, who scored both of Edmonton's goals. And instead of going 1-on-2, McDavid tried to shoot it, but it was blocked off. Here is number 2. That's wide of Skinner, but held inside by the Knights. Back down low for Ekholm. Bouchard ties him up. McDavid wants to reach in to poke it away and does so, and Ekholm has his helmet removed. Up the near boards on the chip and chase. Will this be enough here? No, it will not be enough for the icing as Pietrangelo picks it up. Alex Pietrangelo leads the way up for the far side. The Knights take it in. Into the offensive zone. William Karlsson from Ivan Barbashev. Karlsson stays upright in front, and Barbashev could not tap that one home for the right circle. Taken away by the Oilers, and they'll move this one down. Partial breaks and scooped up by Hyman. Forced over to the far corner by Hay. And there's a booming, crushing hit off of the near corner. Cleared out by Vegas. 10-8 the shot advantage in favor of the Knights. In comparison to the Canes game earlier, this has been a Hyman game. Here's the entry. Hyman winds one up and is kicked out by Hill. Kay holds it inside. Hyman tying up his man. Going right behind the net. Nick Hague wants to clear, but can't do so. Out inside by Edmonton. The chance to the slot was swept away. Good poke check by Riley Smith. And now the Golden Knights will retrieve in their own end. Alex Pietrangelo moves it up the near side. To an open Riley Smith. Stuart Skinner had enough of this one. Exactly 7 minutes deep. It remains level at 2.
We'll take our break as Riley Smith just flips a backhand. It will hold and get an offensive zone draw for Vegas. Second period's been more of a feeling out process as 7 minutes have expired inside.
Meanwhile, here, John, I know we talked about the NBA here and there, but so far, we were wondering where playoff Jimmy was supposed to show up because so far in his Warriors tenure, it's been really slow looking for them. But here, he's got 25 points through 2.5 quarters of Game 3 against the Timberwolves.
I'm looking at it right now. It's a 56-55 game. This series is tied at a game apiece. The one I saw the other day, and that's a good point for you by Jimmy, because they need his points, especially with the injury to Steph Curry, but there was a game the other day where Anthony Edwards only had 1 point at half.
That does not sound real. And I made this new nickname for Anthony Edwards, but given that he has taken out the teams in which Kevin Durant, Jokic, LeBron, and Luka have gone up against, and possibly doing the same thing to Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. Well, who knows if the Timberwolves win this series, but if they do win this series, perhaps. Or to talk about LeBron being the GOAT, I may have a new nickname for Anthony Edwards. And while that may be the most common nickname, I may have one for him now. The GOAT Killer.
Well, I mean, he's got some of the expectations and a lot of the play in his game, Alec. I don't want to use the word MJ, but I feel like I have to. He's got those comparisons. He's got that type of moxie, and he has the swagger on and off the court. He really does feel like that type of player. He loves those big games. He loves competing against the best players, and more often than not, he usually wins.
Yeah, we may have our newest big-time playoff performer. People talk about Jokic, Giannis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander among the top 3 players in the NBA, Luka Doncic as well. But how about Anthony Edwards? This is the man at the moment. People need more. The NBA needs more players like him. Not only with those big moments, with the big mid-range shots, as we are back here, not only the big mid-range shots, but he also talks smack and he backs that up on the court. Here it is at the middle of the ice. Vegas takes it back up. We want to see that moment where they are able to break free here and get that go-ahead goal, because so far in this game, they're able to tie this game up, but they need to keep pushing here. They've had those looks, but this second period has been rather slow in compared to the first period. The defenses are wearing each other out. Their corner, Dorfey, forced behind by Emerson. And this gets a tie-up right behind. Eichel emerges. Eichel looking across the ice, finds Theodore. Theodore, back to Eichel, one-timer, and hits the outside the post. Dorfey keeps it down low. Here is Eichel, and here is the stoppage on the play. I believe it's for a hand pass.
Yeah, it was. That was a near miss as Eichel was able to pick that one on the bumper near the left out, that right-handed shot. I mean, he's locked and loaded. Might have got a piece of the defense in Kulak as well, or Emerson.
Yeah. Ty Emerson has not been deployed a lot, but what he has, he's been an impactful defensive defenseman, and that's why they brought him in the Cody Ceci trade. He's not just some brand of throwaway. He's legit, and he's the real deal.
He's played pretty good on the third line. We see another third liner for the Dallas Stars and Liam Bichsel. I like his game, too.
Yeah, Liam Bichsel is emerged as a big-time heavy hitter and defenseman. And he talked about how he can see Kris Pronger comparisons on that bottom pairing for Bichsel. He and Alex Petrovic both bottled their games after Pronger. Oilers trying to get it out, and they will. Here's Janmark, the 4 flies out there for Edmonton. Backhander, right to the front. Janmark can't get the feed home. He had an open look right on Aiden Hill, and this gets taken away by Mattias as he read the pass. Mattias, Hill tried to slow it down, but it fluttered over his stick. And controlled by Barbashev as Vegas goes for the breakout. Riley Smith slows up. Here's William Carlson, followed up by Stu.
Alec, if Janmark would have been able to complete that pass, I would have officially fell out of my seat. That would have been the goal of the playoffs.
That would have been beautiful for the 4th line. We talked about how McDavid and Draisaitl are the 2 faces of the Oilers. Well, we need to give a shout-out to the depth, especially the bottom 6 of Edmonton. They've been fantastic.
I mean, when you think about Janmark and stuff especially, we saw him do a lot of damage last year against the Panthers.
Yeah, he scored the only goal of Game 7, and he spent most of the time on that bottom 6, no matter if it is next to Warren Fogle, Ryan McLeod, or on that bottom pair when Connor Brown gets the opportunities right next to Fogle and McLeod. We have the second line out there, and the second line has been impressive so far for the Oilers. Gone are the days of them being a 3-man team or 4-man team. They are a complete team up and down the lineup. Here's the feed up front for Kane, who slows up. And getting slowed down was Hyman, and here's the breakout. Genge and Colasar will set up a shot for Eichel. Eichel slows up. Here's Shea Theodore, who slows up. Lights up. Rebound loose. Right at the slots. The Oilers do a good job at keeping it away, and Kane clears it out. What a job by Evander Kane on the top of the physicality offside of the Oilers as Kane went down at the zone.
Well, we saw that same goal in the first period when Corey Perry got wide open middle of the slot. That was good defense out in front by the Oilers, able to close it off. But Stuart Skinner, I don't even know how he tracked it. He couldn't even see a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. He had all sorts of players all over him. Brett Kulak, Keegan Kolesar. They were all over him in that front. And they were just jumping at it to make sure that this puck gets sent into the net. Theodore thought that he had something on the top corners. But no, that was quickly closed off. But Draisaitl moved it up for the near side. This bounced off Jake Walman and collected by Bouchard at his own zone. Walman now, he'll move it up for the middle. Connor McDavid's out there. He's with Leon Draisaitl. That's the star-studded pair. And don't forget about Corey Perry, the old guard. That's had to turn 40 years old on the 16th. Up the far side, Vegas trying to get something. For the chase down, Riley Smith gets boxed out. Oilers recollect it, and they're slowing the action down. Here comes 97, number 1 overall in 2015. And a one-timer gets blocked off a stick. That was Nick Waugh who shut that one off. Excellent defense there by the VGK. No ahead of it for Alex Draisaitl. Draisaitl moves it down up and breaking free, getting sticked away with Sander Pearson, former two-time champ with the LA Kings. Out front it gets loose. Backhander, Arnold. Oh my word! Stuart Skinner, are you kidding?
Stuart Skinner starting to find his game, Alec. We talked about that in the first period, where it was going to come from. That was an outstanding stop he made amongst traffic. This one, great feed out in front. If Thomas Hurdle wasn't covered on his backhand, that'd be one. That's a 6 setup for Nick Waugh. And a backhand left. Skinner reads that toward the right post, falls over, makes the save. But he was able to find that again. He was screened by Evan Bouchard.
That was the same play that Matty Tkachuk made in Game 5 against Boston 2 years ago. But Stuart Skinner, he stayed with this. He's 9-6 in his last 15 games in the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs with a .915 save percentage. And you would be inclined to think that he's going to find that same confidence and lock in. That's what he needs here. Crowd trying to get fired up here. As it's tied at 2 here, that's the big wing mark for the second period. And here is the puck over to the left point, which is held in by the Oilers. They're trying to get some reinforcements inside. Puck is 60 feet up into the air, and then finally down onto the ice as it's cleared out onto center, and Vegas will move it up to the far side. Pearson wants the open look, but can't find any as Nurse is the first one back behind the net. Nurse gets it away from Hurdle, chipped up, and the Oilers will move it up through the right side of the ice. Batted down, and the Oilers will sell this one. Frederick around the near corner. Got it behind the nets, and it skipped overhead reap. The Knights can't take it away from this one, and here's John Klingberg. Step aside, here's a one-timer from Darnell Nurse, that Aiden Hill stop. It comes behind the net, and it's freed up for Hyman. Back around to the left point, nobody there, as Nurse arrived late. Nurse will go all the way back. Fans chanting Aiden here, trying to serenade Aiden Hill. Entry feet inside, drop pass off for Kulak. Kulak drives and knocks out the far corner. Now moved up, and Victor Arvidsson lost it. And Vegas, what do we have here? I think it's a penalty.
I think I heard from the play-by-play center on TNT, Barbashev's going to go to the box as we go to break.
Yeah, Ivan Barbashev's getting 2 minutes, and the Oilers get another chance here. An opportunity to go up 3-2. We haven't seen the Oilers power play score until this game. This may be another chance to get one on Vegas' vaunted PK.
Yeah, that would be the last thing the Golden Knights want because, again, as you mentioned in this second period, thankfully things have slowed down a little bit for both of these teams because if you extend that whole first period, I don't think you can survive playing that whole entire pace that we had, but we'll see now. The door is open for the Oilers, and I think all told, Alec, even though it's a tie game, I would give the slight advantage here to Edmonton. I know the shots don't dictate it, but it seems like every time they come down the ice, I feel like they're pretty dangerous.
Yeah, they're all over the ice. Defensively, offensively, they are dangerous as a team, as a complete unit. We wonder how we're going to see this team for the rest of the playoffs, and perhaps if they do get some saving grace, perhaps that's that unfinished business from last year, that the bitter taste of defeat from last year is maybe what is motivating them for pushing into a Stanley Cup run here. No matter how many track meets they survive here, no matter what adversity is going to get thrown their way, You can never count a team with McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice.
No, you can. Again, I'm thinking about covering all that stuff with you. It was a 3-0 series lead for Florida. You thought Edmonton was going to be done. Maybe they'll get one. They come all the way back. And then we get the heartbreaker at the end from McDavid when he goes, it's not good enough. And you see some of that stuff there. But that drives you. And then you lead everything else into the postseason. You make the moves. You got a balanced lineup again. Edmonton is able to get this done. I'm worried about a little bit of the goaltending side, but Skinner's been good now. Now they got a chance on the power play. Edmonton's game enough to win a Stanley Cup. I think that they can get there. They just got to finish the job.
Yeah, they have to. And the Oilers, they can have another one here for getting their team up again. Blow-up victories don't count towards big boosts in the playoffs because that's not a blow-up victory. That's just doing what you need to do. And no matter what type of victory it is here, you just have to do what you need to do. It doesn't matter how you win. What matters here is winning here. Doesn't matter if you win pretty or ugly. You just have to win. Bouchard sets up RNH. RNH down low. That may have hit a body in front. Now, as Perry wants to get a hat trick for himself, he's already got one. The power play's got one at even strength. It's not exactly the 5 goals 5 different ways, but you remember he had the number 1 versus number 2 matchup, McDavid and Ekholm here. Quick shot, kicked down by Hill, no rebound. And Edmonton will recollect in their own zone with McDavid. William Karlsson watching hours, but don't forget about number 3, Leon Draisaitl. He's out there on the ice. Another number 1, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, due on the ice. Backhanded out by the Golden Knights, and Stuart Skinner is going to play this one out. Skinner, as said last year, had a .915 save percentage ever since Game 6 against Vancouver in the second round. He never looked back from there. He played the best hockey of his career. RNH will set up for McDavid. RNH back to McDavid, slows up and up to the far side. Draisaitl. He watched it all the way back for Bouchard on for Danuge. Slowing up, back for Bouchard. Right side McDavid, who's parked in the circle. McDavid started stepping around over to Bouchard, walking the point. Back for McDavid. Doesn't go for a one-timer. Bouchard makes a slapper. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins holds on to it in the left circle. Bouchard drives it. Blocked off the body. McDavid recollects it far corner. 33 on the man advantage. Bouchard walks the point. RNH goes his end. Right out front. May have bounced up, but McDavid's on the hole. Walks the point. Bouchard again. McDavid taking the place of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Bounce over to the far corner for Draisaitl, who sets up back for Evan Bouchard. Bouchard walking the line. Here is McDavid again. Bouchard again. For the high slot. Wrist one. Rebound loose. Swept away. Clear but not out. Bouchard with a glove down to keep it. 5 seconds as Draisaitl looks back. Bouchard getting over to McDavid. McDavid. Blunt. Halfway over. Puck hit the side of the cage. Riley Smith trying to scoop it up. McDavid holding this one in. Over to Draisaitl far corner. 5-on-5. Draisaitl. Tight angle. Oh, that almost stuck his way through. And Vegas gets it out at last. Partial changes for both teams. And now full changes. But it seems like that Oiler power play is out there on the ice forever. As Vegas wanted to drive it in. But the Oilers were all over it. Backhanded through. And this is going to be iced. No! Jack Hyman beat out the icing. I thought it was going to be iced for sure, but he just beat him out on a photo finish. Here he is right behind the net. Hyman. Backhands once or worth a point. Big slapper. Walked out in front of a body. The Oilers just able to keep it in. There was a stick loose at the slot. As it's bounced up and the Knights will have a chance to take the lead here. Tanner Pearson misses everything entirely on his backhander. The Oilers want to get it out. And this is caught and held by center fielder Stuart Skinner.
Look, Alec, I know we didn't get a goal on that last Oilers power play, but we get a great look at a Draisaitl shot. He shot that through the legs of White Cloud, and it hit Aiden Hill in the head.
Right on the mask, almost could have stuck its way onto the net, if not for Aiden Hill's helmet save. Yeah, those are some of the most dangerous saves because there's always the risk of the goaltender's mask falling off once the puck hits the net. That happened to Anthony Stolarz previously.
Yeah, and again, you talk about that. I want to mention one other point of the power play. I know they didn't score, but the spacing for the Edmonton Oilers was excellent. I know they were kept on the outside by Vegas, who did their job. The most important thing was to kill it. But to see the bumper play in between both dots and between Draisaitl and McDavid, you got Bouchard in the high slot. They're able to crisscross it across the red line back and forth. I felt like the Oilers had the puck like a rubber band on a string.
But like they're a magnet out there on the ice, and the puck is always going to them each and every way. That's how dominant they were on that man advantage.
Yeah, they look pretty good there. Again, you're going to get a chance to call the rest of the second. We're going to get Ian on board here in a moment. It's a pretty good game so far. We know the Golden Knights need to be able to take advantage of it, try to get a game to make it 2-1 and not 3-0. Because if it goes 3-0, Vegas is pretty much done. Because Edmonton, again, they gave up those quick goals for Vegas, but it looks like they've recovered after it. And this game's pretty good so far.
So far, so good between two evenly balanced teams that know each other so well. We know about Vegas' reputation for being a balanced team up and down the lineup. But Edmonton is showing that they too are a balanced team, no matter how many times people want to talk about them being a top-heavy. Because that narrative has been dead now.
Yeah, I can even say the same for myself over the last 3 or 4 seasons at that point, that this team looks a lot better than they did. And that's not even just because of the Stanley Cup run. Because when we first saw them play against teams like Calgary and Dallas and all that, I never had thought the Oilers would do anything. But now it's much different.
It's been much different for the Oilers here. Well, here I hear the far side as this bounced up. As we get back onto the action here from the left point, as Vegas wants to put this one inside for the go-ahead goal. So far, it's been evenly contested. No, not a lot of scoring chances, but the Oilers had a power play. They couldn't convert that one, but they look very dangerous on that man advantage. Vegas gets it inside. Pavel Dorofeyev gets close, stopped by Brent Kulak. Tie up here into the near corner. Brought back as Alex Pietrangelo fakes his slapper, and then fakes another slapper. He'll send this one towards the slot. Turnaround shot. Rebound loose to the front. Wrapper to Pirtle. And Stuart Skinner closes him up, and then they come time. They drive was picked by Noah Hannafin. Genge this one around the boards. The Oilers slap it out, and they can breathe easy right now. But Vegas don't reset. Hannafin waiting for the chance. Coughs it up, but it's outside the zone as the Oilers want to reset. Back towards the Vegas zone as the Oilers change lines. Pietrangelo slows up. We'll send this one down deep. Skinner plays this one back. Up the near side Wards. And this one stayed in the play, but the Oilers caught offside on the deep pass.
That is 3 saves this period, Alec, that are the A+ variety of Stuart Skinner. Hasn't faced a ton of chances, but he's faced a lot of high-quality ones. Hurdle just misses near the right side post. Off the attempt, it goes up the outside of the net, and then the wraparound. Skinner comes all the way over. He was down and out. He had to go full sprawl to dive to close that one off, but he shuts down the wraparound.
I guess Skinner, he's getting that confidence boost once again right after that benching after game 2 against that LA series. He needed that because he needs to have his mental game and checked up, and once again, he is delivering here. Oilers get it out. As this bounced up, I go where we start. Second overall pick in 2015. The number 3 pick was Dylan Strong, who is now the top center on the Washington Capitals. They're down 2-1 that series to the Carolina Hurricanes, but the Capitals expect to compete with Strong and Tom Wilson out in the future. Here is Mattias who gets it out, but the Golden Knights get it back inside. Woodford doesn't be met by a brick wall. The Oilers pick it up, 2-on-2 back the other way. It's Draisaitl forced wide here, off in the far corner. Severing pass was read by Nick Waugh, and Waugh will take it up as Jake Walman goes back to defend. Darnell Nurse matches up with Waugh. Waugh sending it over across the ice for Pietrangelo, but this skips over his stick. Pietrangelo sending it in deep. The Knights collect at the far corner. Back around they go. William Karlsson looks back to the points. Does a full spin around. Karlsson back down low for Riley Smith, who backs out, pivots. Headshot hits someone. Settled down by Pietrangelo. On the right point. Now back deep is Smith. Big pass was blocked. And the rebound was swept away by the Oilers, but just held inside by Karlsson. Fell towards the net. And that one hit something in front. Here's Pietrangelo. That was a wacky pinball shot that went wide. Smith off the hole for Vegas. Back around to the far side. Back deep is Hannafin for Pietrangelo. Alex Pietrangelo sent it into the near corner for Karlsson. Goes around Janmark. Karlsson, Pietrangelo loads up. Bounces up in front. And this one exits the zone. Vegas will have to reset. They've had the shot bench 15-11. And going in his right side, one comes his slow shot. Right back, Carlson scores! Wild Bill on the return feed on a goal.
Oh my goodness, we've seen some sparkling goals between these two. Let's go between both of these teams. Stuart Skinner, I feel bad because he's made some exceptional saves. What's he going to do there? Carlson, just a beautiful give and go, short side snipe. Skinner can't close it out, but that is about as good as it gets. Good combination play alongside Noah Hannafin.
Mattias overcommitted to the play on Carlson at the blue line and got bit by it. Sometimes it's good to play defense, but the over-aggressiveness on defense was what bit the Oilers there. Carlson takes advantage and skates around Janmark, who was trying to overcommit to the puck on the entry, and a whistle.
33 goals now for William Karlsson. That seems like an awful lot, but as you mentioned between Vegas, they've been in the postseason a ton.
Yeah, they have been a ton of times. 7 out of 8 times they've been in the playoffs. Karlsson gets the breakout. Karlsson collects his puck up the middle. Janmark tried to slow him down, but can't do it. Trying to strip away the puck. He makes the move around and is fooled out Janmark.
Yeah, you called that right. I mean, anyway, at that point, there's nothing Skinner can do after that. You're hoping the defense gets there the first time.
Right, Nugent-Hopkins sets up around. Here comes the cycle, Brent Kulak. Goes one towards the net, hoping for the punch, and it didn't come all the way home. Right, Nugent-Hopkins tied up by Keegan Colasar. McDavid also there in the scuffle. Boxed out by McDavid Howden. Comes back out to the right point. Walking along with his Bouchard and McDavid. Deep shot deflected wide, and Kulak will pick it up. Broke towards the net. Comes out towards the slot. And poked out by Colasar. Or so he thought, as Bouchard had him batted up. And Vegas will move this one up. On the near side, here's the cross-ice pass. Caught down by the slot. Brett Kulak was in the way there. Oilers have it. Through the near side now. Moved the cross onto the far side. And then back up for RNH. Dropped it off for Hyman. Zach Hyman drives towards the net. Bounced it up. And McDavid recollects it. Connor McDavid. And it looks like a penalty here against Edmonton as Aiden Hill's mask came up.
We're at least going to blow the play dead at that point. I'll let you know if there is a penalty if I see one. But Aiden Hill's goal mask came off. Zach Hyman having a look as well. We'll see what the refs want to do here.
It seems that Zach Hyman is going to the box for goaltender interference as he was driving towards the net. Oh, yeah, the play had to be stopped immediately. And Hill was saying, "Hey, ref, my mask is off."
Yeah, you got that right. I see that now off the replay. Hyman kind of spinning. Lucky that he didn't make more contact of Aiden Hill than he did. He didn't want to have a Stolar situation.
Did not want to have that because that looked ugly. But that looked more accidental, if anything.
Sure.
Yeah, on the elbow, but officials don't care about accidents. Goaltender interference is goaltender interference. And it's Vegas power play up against the Oilers PK. On paper, you think the advantage would go to the Golden Knights because they've been hot in the regular season and they've been hot in the playoffs. Graded out by the Oilers, they want to look more like their 2024 form on the penalty kill, where they've given up just 4 power play goals in total. Here, I just lost count of how many power play goals they've given up. Up the far side, Eichel wants to get the feet around. This goes behind that for Darnell Nurse, who slapped this one back, and it's cleared down. Hill will hound this one out for Theodore. Shea Theodore up the far side. We'll move it to the right side for Eichel. Eichel sends it in for Wong. Wong gets hounded down. Theodore on the hole. Left side. Back down low is Eichel. Eichel, centering pass, gets knocked up by Connor Brown. Here come the Oilers shorthanded. Brown will slow up. Olsen rushing back. A good job on the tie-up. Give him a shorthanded chance. Back is Nick Waugh on the entry for Jack Eichel as Bouchard shoved him wide. And was good, and that was good enough to not get a penalty out of that one for Bouchard. Eichel, Jack Eichel, moved it down low. John McDavid was right there. We'll see what he's going to do. He's going to do it himself. Decides to play to the near corner and play it safely. Sometimes he likes those big risks. Other times he wants to play it safely. At that time he decided to play it safely. So Vegas has all these power play goals here in the postseason. Frankly, none of them have came from Jack Eichel or Mark Stone in the playoffs. Near corner, as it's bounced up. So far, the County Kill has been playing like in 2024, so here they come again. McDavid, he gets slowed up, still holds on to it, cross-ice pass. Good job by Bouchard to hold on to this one. And so far, the Oiler County Kill is playing the best that we have seen so far all playoffs, long as Aiden Hill makes one last save. Vegas is 6 seconds of carryover power play time, but the Oiler County Kill has found life at long last, and we've waited to see this from them.
And if Connor McDavid, I'm guessing after the initial rush that he had when he was trying to find that mix of RNH back there, but if he didn't have to already go full tilt just about 5 seconds ago, probably would have had enough to take that shot himself. I think Vegas was a little bit fortunate that McDavid did make something happen. But as it is, Wild Bill, the only goal of that second period, Vegas has a tenuous 3-2 lead after 40.
And Vegas, they have to be thankful that McDavid didn't get a chance on either of those two penalty killing moments, because on the second one, it seemed that McDavid was gassed up and looking like at the end of his shift. And he needed to go up because he didn't have the same energy he had on the first attempt to go down the middle. He wanted to take this himself, but that came back to bite us. He wanted to play it safely, seeing that there was no lane. Second one, it looked like he wanted to either wait up or he was just out of energy.
That's what I would have to think on the second one, Alec. Again, it really only feels like, and I know I'm not surprising anybody when I say this, but it maybe only takes Connor McDavid a stride and a half to reach his full speed. It really is unlike anything I've ever seen. He's unquestionably like the fastest player that we have in the NHL.
Fastest player, best player, both in the NHL. And there's no question about that. People symbolize the Oilers with him. People think about the NHL with him. That's how good that he is.
I almost said NBA because I was flipping over here just for a few minutes before we get back into our featured game and between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. You mentioned it alongside with Jimmy Butler. He's got to feel like he's playing on the Miami Heat right now, disguised in a Golden State uniform because of the injury to Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler's had to carry the offense. The next closest in the starting lineup is Buddy Hield with 9, but Jimmy's got 32, and he's going to the line.
32 points and counting. This is more like his playoff Jimmy Miami self here. Or can we say Miami Jimmy Butler? This is the type of Jimmy Butler that fans have wanted to see once he came to San Francisco, and he's delivering here a timeless classic in Game 3 for Warrior fans to deliver, to remember here. No matter where he's at, he's just constantly delivered wherever he's been at. But he's playing his best playoff basketball with the Miami Heat, and he wanted to see Miami Jimmy Butler here in Golden State. They got Miami Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, they did, Alec. And again, it really is so impressive. It makes me wonder, and again, I'll say this on the backhand side, and either between Minnesota or the 76ers, how do you not hold on to somebody like that?
There's no shade to Minnesota or Philadelphia, but you could have used someone like him. But in fairness to Minnesota, all the grind on the future of Carl Anthony Towns, it did lead them to Anthony Edwards in the future.
Sure.
So it did pan out. They got someone of similar caliber to Jimmy Butler, and they can match up evenly with one of them. Philadelphia, I don't know what is to come of them, because Tobias Harris is more of it mentions better as a role player for teams. But to pay him $36 million per year, you're paying him the type of money that is for low and top tier players. Harris is more of a role player in that regard, and he's thriving in Detroit as a high-end role player.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for that, by the way, Alex. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I saw a tweet not that long ago that mentioned when we had like Brandon Knight and some of those other players, Spencer Dinwiddie, saying that the Pistons needed to be patient. I'll be completely honest with you. Not any of those guys were superstars. I think the Pistons did the right thing. I know the Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose situation didn't work out, but they're in a much better situation than they are right now. So I definitely understand your point about Minnesota. That ended up working out for them. But for the 76ers, you go that side. I know it's been a long time now with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and all that, but holy cow, I can't imagine them being in the bottom of the barrel again. And Tyrese Maxey's got to be wondering, I need some help.
You gotta wonder. but he's got some help in Jared McCain and Ricky Council. But Paul George has been a disaster in Philadelphia.
Yes.
It's just his first year over there. MB has questions about his durability, and we're wondering about him being available in future seasons because chronic knee injuries can mess up a playing career.
Right.
And we're wondering if MB is going to have that same impact because of those chronic knee injuries.
We're just looking at it now. A commercial break. Anthony Edwards scores, makes it 82-81. T-Wolves down by 1. Again, the winner in this game, we're at the Bay right now, but the winner in this game will go up 2-1 in this West semifinal series. Of note as well, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Kuminga. He's been fantastic off the bench in 30 minutes. He's 9 of 12. He's got 24 points.
We wondered whether or not he was going to be inserted into the lineup. When Steve Kerr said that in Game 7 before the Rockets game, when he said that everything is on the table, that included Jonathan Kuminga being available on the rotation. He saw minimal action earlier in the series. But this is a high-end role player that you want to get off the bench. And he's once again finding his footing with Golden State. Whether or not he stays on the rotation down the line, you've got to have a player like Kuminga on your team.
Yeah, I feel like I've been talking about Kuminga with you over the last 3 or 4 seasons, and I forget he's still just 22 years of age. So that's another big piece that they're going to hope for. Same thing for Podziemski, who's just 22, but Podziemski's had a game to forget right now. He's 1 of 10 shooting. He's got only 5 points.
Pretty much a forgettable game for him. In the meantime, if you want to go over to the NHL side, we look into the NHL draft lottery. I'm surprised the Islanders got the first pick in the draft.
Should I be surprised, Alec, or should I not be? Because in between the COVID lottery balls, the Rangers win it, and now the Islanders win it. Maybe I'm just bitter as a Red Wings fan, knowing that my team never moves up. Sometimes they fall down. But, okay, the Islanders win it. I can argue that they need it. But Utah also shot up in the standings.
Oh, my. That's got to have a bad taste of anyone's mouths here. Because the Islanders, they were projected to have a less than 4% chance to win the draft lottery and get the number 1 pick. And now they could like have Matthew Schaefer paired next to Noah Dobson. And as such, that's going to be a cornerstone top pairing to have for the Islanders if they were to fix them and fix their hopes. Not only that, once you get Callum Ritchie on the prospect pool, Maxim Simplikalis getting full-time minutes, and both Ritchie and Schaefer, should they land both at the Islanders, should they get full-time minutes to the Islanders, those are cornerstones to build off of for Long Island hockey. You're set here for the future. You just gotta find the right GM that can make the right moves. Now that Lou Lamoriello is likely going to, I don't know, move on from hockey. I'm not sure, but the Islanders decided not to renew his contract. But I'll say, I think that was the right decision. Get someone younger, but experienced at the same time.
I would say this, too, for the Islanders. I know that you're right here with me, Alec, when I mention this, but the Islanders are a good team. Lou Lamoriello pays his players. Players like that. They have security. You got a lot of veterans there. You got some mix and young talent. But this was a team that was either a marginal playoff team because they have Ilya Sorokin and some talent or nothing more. So you really have to go in a new direction at some point. They've had Lou Lamoriello there forever.
Yeah. And you know what? One guy that they interviewed for the GM vacancy, Matthew Darsh, who's been receiving calls for GM roles ever since the back-to-back championships of the Lightning in 2020 and 2021. He was a contender for the Canadiens in-season vacancy before Kent Hughes got hired by the Canadiens. And he was also a finalist for the Penguins GM job before Kyle Dubas decided to take the role himself. But I feel that Darsh would be one of the best candidates for the GM job of the Islanders.
Well, it's probably a good call by you. I want to see what they can do with some young talent. And you mentioned alongside Matthew Schaefer. I know it's been a while for me, about a year and a half or so, as far as watching him in the World Juniors, but he looked like a heck of a defensive prospect. And to see him shoot up that far across the board to be a possible number 1, honestly doesn't surprise me because he had a lot of skill then. I would just say if I'm the Islanders, I really don't want to get rid of Noah Dobson unless someone's going to hand me the keys of the Ferrari and try to change the franchise around because Noah Dobson's really, really good.
He is. One down season doesn't change a thing. He's still a top offensive defenseman on the Islanders. You want to pair Dobson up with a talent like Schaefer on the defensive pairings. You got your decor locked up between Dobson and potentially Schaefer, Adam Pellick with Ryan Pollock. Then you have Alexander Romanov, and then you have a hole at the bottom pairing. Who is going to fill that one up? You have everything else sorted up. The Islanders, you're on the clock now. Initially, I thought it was going to be James Higgins at the number one spot, but then you had the likes of Schaefer and Michael Misa on the draft board. They're really good too, and that's no shade to Higgins. But if Bill Higgins may need another year at Boston College before he transitions to the NHL full-time wherever he's drafted.
It's probably fair to say I did like watching Higgins a little bit on the Team USA development team during that time in the World Juniors. It looked like he had some skill. Cole Eisman's probably another one of those guys, Alec. I don't know how far he shoots up the board. Maybe he's like a middle first-round pick, but he's got a big-time shot. He loves to score, doesn't do much of anything else. But when you keep mentioning Misa, everything I hear about him is a top 5 player. I'm not familiar with Michael Misa, but everywhere across the draft boards that you look, they think he's going to be pretty special.
His two-way game took a major step. When he pairs his speed and his firepower, he can be a foundational piece for wherever he goes to. He got granted exceptional status in the OHL. He's number 2 on ESPN's draft board. So if he goes to San Jose, that forward core of him, Celebrini, Will Smith, William Ekholm, that's going to be a young core to build upon. And not to mention that their number 1 defenseman is still in the junior leagues. Don't forget about Sam Dickinson, who's going to be stepping into the NHL soon enough.
Can I say honestly, I think, and I know Chicago's going to find their way with the Blackhawks and getting Connor Bedard and all that. And I know it hasn't shown out really for Mike Grier, but I think San Jose is going to be awfully dangerous, and I think Grier did it exactly right.
He did. And the best part about and it's amazing that he did this all with free salary retention slots all used up. So he had little to no leverage in regards to the trading away Walman, CC, Granlund. He was able to get as many first-round picks and do not have any salary retained. So excellent piece of business from him.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent general manager when all things said and done. San Jose, it's going to take them maybe a little bit longer, probably a couple more seasons to get out of this rebuild. But every year that we've started to watch them, Alec, I think that they have found their way to making themselves better. And they could be dangerous in this Western Conference. Because, look, we got some teams eventually that go up and down. And San Jose and all those guys have been down in the downturn. Let me just look at this NHL standings on ESPN and try to project some things moving forward. Because I really like that team. And alongside with Ekholm and some other stuff, you got Smith, Celebrini, as you mentioned. They have a lot of cornerstone pieces that are already really good. But let me look at this standings really quick on the wild card side. So when I go all the way down, Nashville, I think, got a top 5 pick as well from the season that they had. I'd have to imagine they're going to bounce back a bit. Sharks did end up with 52 points, but they might be in a better position than the Kraken, maybe the Ducks. I don't know what's going to happen with the Vancouver Canucks because they're still kind of moving some things around. I'm not saying the Sharks will pass the Canucks in the standings, but my bet is the Sharks might not be dead last next year.
I don't think so. When you have all the right pieces around and you get a more competitive roster, you will have people going to the Sharks in free agency. Look at what they did in the offseason. They managed to convince Tyler Toffoli and Alex Wenberg to go to San Jose so to help out this young core. They're prioritizing the future in San Jose. And they know the future really is teal. They've won competitive games against some notable teams this season. They got their first win of the year against Utah in comeback fashion, albeit without Macklin Celebrini. So that's impressive. San Jose will be remembered as a playoff contending team. Whether or not this produces a cup is yet to be known, but they could be up there with the big boys in the future down the line.
Yeah, I do think a few years down the line, this should be a consistent playoff team and probably trying to do some damage, getting close in the wild card in the West. I do think they have a lot of stuff that they can still show, because when I look at it between now, the Boston Bruins, Philadelphia Flyers, I mean, the Flyers might have some stuff in the prospect pool, but what does Boston have? I mean, the bottom kind of fell out for them. And yet, Alec, you and I have been waiting for, 7 to 10 years to see what Buffalo is going to be able to do, and yet we never see it.
Yeah, we never do. They keep trying to push all the right buttons. They do both everything and nothing.
Right.
They try to address the team, yet in the end, the results are always the same thing. And if I'm a Buffalo sports fan, I got to be putting on Buffalo Bills games now, because this is just constant heartbreak after constant heartbreak, or maybe even Buffalo Bandits games when you think of lacrosse.
Yeah, it can be pretty difficult over there. Hell, being a Minnesota sports fan, it can be pretty difficult as well. You feel the pain a lot.
Oh, at least they got the Timberwolves. That's for sure.
That's for sure. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing well. Sorry I'm late. I was helping my sister move back home. She just finished her junior year of college. So we went. It was an entire day's process.
Hey, you're a good man to be able to do that. Moving and all that stuff is never fun.
No, but I will say this. I caught the end of that conversation, man. I really don't see what Buffalo can do. I mean, they tried everything, and I would add on they tried nothing, but they really have tried everything. And it's like, they try and make it, they make trades. The Bruins are not cheap. They sign free agents. Except they've all spectacularly blown up in their face. It's like,
right.
You know what it's like? If you remember the 2010s Knicks, where they did everything they could, but every free agent move blew up in their face.
Because my question is this. I know we didn't spend an exorbitant amount of time on Buffalo, but now I'm interested because we're in the intermission. You get guys like Alex Tuck. You get guys like Ryan O'Reilly. Alec, guys that are proven players that are very, very good. You had Eichel. You didn't want to go through the surgery. You had Reinhart. You have good drafts. It's just, as Ian said, you've mentioned it too. I don't know what they're supposed to do. It's not like they haven't drafted well. It's not like they haven't brought in good players. It just never works.
I will put this, not granting Eichel permission to get that surgery. I don't care if it was experimental. That was the surgery he wanted.
Yes.
That is a franchise player, and you have not come close to his talents except 1 year of Tage Thompson.
Right. And then to see him shortly after that then win a Stanley Cup with Vegas.
Ouch. And then now you have Alex Tuck, who is in the midst of trade speculation. And he got the trade speculation this year's trade deadline, but here, I don't know what Buffalo does. But as we get back into this game, you know how good the Oilers are when playing from behind. That's 6 consecutive comeback victories, the longest streak in Stanley Cup playoff history.
All right, so I'm going to take this top half, Alec, and then I'm going to let you close. If we get to OT, we can figure that out then. I'll let you take the first half of it. This will be centered around the end boards. And Stuart Skinner has been excellent in that second period, at least, because he had some great A chances, even though Vegas will take the lead. That was a great back and forth pass setup from Noah Hannafin and William Karlsson short side that gave Vegas the go-ahead goal. We'll see if that stands, but my guess between Edmonton's offense, it probably will not. This will be recollected now to the right side, knocked away from McDavid. Again, it always takes several players to knock him away from the puck. Barbashev able to get it out. Vegas wants to go right to left. Again, they are in the road whites and the mix of the black pants and the gold and red striping. The Edmonton Oilers have a blue and orange mix with the white stripes at home at Rogers. They have a 2-0 series lead. This is Game 3. Alec Nava, John Ott, Ian Genge here alongside with you. I'm going to take it. Alec's going to get set to close this. As will be sent back around the end boards now. Here for Carlson, almost a half check into the bench. Not quite Adam Lowry from the other day, as this is sold up at the line by Hanifin. Now picked up for Edmonton off the back pass. It's Evander Kane. This bounces off some skates. Raleigh Smith try to hold it in off a chop. Knocks the stick out of one of VGK's hands. Here's a full pass. Goes too far for the former St. Louis Blue and Alex Pietrangelo, Stanley Cup champion. He's had multiple in his back pocket. He's sent back in amongst the end boards and iced against VGK.
So Alex Pietrangelo, we need to see more of Alex Pietrangelo because at 35, he's been here and there, and it's been a wild ride for Pietrangelo this year. The withdrawal of the Four Nations face-up and the injury concerns, this is a guy that needs to step up.
So Corey Perry's on the same line as far as oldest multi-goal games. Corey Perry's 39. Teemu Selanne was 40. Nick Lidstrom, the Red Wings legend, was 41. I think Corey Perry's got a few more years in him. Alec, he might be able to be at the very top of that list.
Who knows?
This will be picked now toward the left side red line and catapulted around the end boards. Edmonton's going to start with possession as it got knocked away from Janmark Haig. We'll play this one off the backhand to throw it ahead. Here's a drop pass from Pearson. Fourth line, Dorofeyev now trying to join. He just came back in from injury. He was Vegas' top goal scorer. This was almost a 40-goal threat. As this is put in directly behind the end boards, Pearson tried to find Dorofeyev. Just held the line in the high slot did Vegas. Opportunity Pearson's pass. It was a bullet. Had to be recollected now. There's a short side chance. Dorofeyev fought off there by the stick of Skinner. He settled back around now for Adam Henrique. He gets thefted. Here's a pass right up the middle. Good save, Skinner. There's a rebound, but Edmonton is able to pick it up and alongside the defense. And they'll start again. Here's a chip and chase opportunity. And alongside for Hyman. Braces for a hit. This is picked up back and alongside, I believe, for Howden, who was puck's taken away. Bouchard to the left. That's fought off by Hill. Sent back around for Keegan Kolesar. Shot board is 18-14. Good forecheck here for Edmonton. See what they can do with it. And this is going to allow Kolesar to take an extra beat. He gets the pass back from right to left. Here comes Kolesar. Tries to go 1-on-3. This bounces. This will give possession here for Nick Waugh, but they're funneled into the right side dot. See if they can escape the pressure here. Gloved out of the air. Nicely out of the hands. And alongside Victor Arvidsson, some fourth line time for Kris Knoblauch's squad. Good backhand. Arvidsson should be able to pick this up, the former King. This has been knuckled out of the zone. While Vegas able to escape with it. Barbashev will just slam it into the corner and hit the kick plate. So Vegas defense will take a change. And alongside for Bruce Cassidy's squad, here's a red line gain in. And McDavid, they're going to say they did not gain the red line. They'll just take the play off 16-16.
Oh, I thought that McDavid waved off the icing. He's upset because he thought he beat them out to it. I didn't think that this was an icing nonetheless, because that looked to be behind. Because even though it was behind the red line, McDavid beat out everyone to the puck. Yes, the puck dog got dumped in. And Aiden Hill, he was calling for him. I understand McDavid's frustration because that to me did not look like an icing.
Yeah, he was already cruised way out in front of the play. That's probably part of most of his frustration because he could have set up a quality scoring chance. It was a center ice draw. Start again alongside for Noah Hanifin, former Calgary Flame. But he got that big extension. This will be dropped now. Riley Smith, who's had his skating shoes on, will shovel it into the corner. Settle back around now. Podkolzin will make this pass. Opportunity now for more of a third line again for Kris Knoblauch. Hyman finishes his hit. 15:45 left to go in the third. This is rattled around the end boards. RNH looked to put a stop to it. This is Pietrangelo will shadow his man toward the left side blue line. This is not held in. So Edmonton's going to have to check back up. Vegas now off the rush. Jack Eichel on his backhand. He wanted to go for a drop. He fanned on it for a moment. A rolling puck hits Edmonton bodies. Doesn't reach Skinner. McNabb slows it down alongside with Barbashev. His bounces off some sticks. Back alongside Vegas at the pirouette in their own end. Played off the end boards. Opportunity now for Kolsar. A lot of bottom six time right now, as 5 minutes have expired in this third thereabouts. Center on the inboards, wrong side for Olofsson. Eichel on his backhand side in the mix of the other line. Carlson will send it back around. He almost blows a tire near the left side dot. This is in across the wall. Vegas still working with it. Kolsar off the drop. Here's Wild Bill. Good feed. McNabb's got to settle it down. He makes the pass across. Shot goes wide near the left post. Now to the left dot. Here's an opportunity one more time for Kolsar. Good offensive zone time. Kolsar trying to work his way to the net. Taken away by Corey Perry's skate. As this one's brushed ahead for Edmonton. Finally get it down ice. Vegas will intercept in their own end. We got nonstop action, but it's been Vegas with the puck possession right now. As they'll have to peel back after a pass from 70. Hits Draisaitl. This is kept on the blue line side. Good steal. Vegas try to find it in their own end now. Pass back will be intercepted. Left side red line. In the mix of a change. Here's a good pass pod Colson. This will be sunning up the kick plated. Might have brushed Hill, but this goes to the right side dot. Sent back around the end boards here. Now at the point. Left point here for Edmonton. Shot high through the screen. Not sure how Aiden Hill tracked it. He was just sprawling near that post. Now in front of the net. Vegas able to find it for a moment. This was stick this side. Haig able to get this one ahead for Pearson. Pearson overskates it. This will be flipped in. Edmonton now. And we'll finally get an icing. And looks like Connor Brown and everyone else is a little bit upset.
That's the second time this has happened. Connor Brown, this time around, you're arguing that this was not an icing. The first time around, McDavid won the case. And Johnny Bear over by the bench side, he's just trying to get everyone to calm down. But this time it wasn't icing. Corey Perry, oldest player in Oilers history of a multi-goal playoff game. While the Vegas Golden Knights with 2 goals in 54 in the first. How about Corey Perry? At 39 years old, going on 40 years old on May the 16th. He's got to be playing the time of his life right now.
You got to imagine, as you said, 2 goals on the top line with Draisaitl and McDavid. All he's got to do is find a way to the net. Usually works out. Again, we're still waiting for that next goal in this third period. Nothing yet to tell you about. It's still 3-2. The latest one for Will Karlsson. Sent back around the end boards now for Vegas as they try to get it out from right to left. Just kept in the blue line side, Riley Smith. Former Pittsburgh Penguin will flip this one back down the ice. It's Riley Smith's second tenure with Vegas, one of the original Misfits, alongside Jonathan Marchessault, who's no longer here. Sent back around the inboards, but Will Karlsson is. This is picked up near the left side blue line. Evan Bouchard will go ahead and give a skate. The rest of the top line will take a change. This will be recollected across the Oilers logo. Edmonton try to race up the gut. Good pass block here for Jack Eichel. Brush that one away. Bouchard, here's a chance right up the gut. Aiden Hill, baseball-style snag. That was his first save of the third as we go to break.
And Edmonton has not gotten much shots here in this third period. It comes down to who has the better defense here and who is better equipped to withstand a third period at barrage. Because these two teams are two of the best third period teams that we've seen. Vegas is the best third period team in the regular season. Edmonton's been the best third period team in the playoffs. So it's a war of attrition between two elite third period teams.
Exactly. Hey, while we're at break, I wanted to run something by both of you. I think
Sure.
I talked to you guys about this separately, but how about this, John, Alec? I have said before that after Stanley Cup playoffs, we, along with Cooper Hopkins and whoever else we want to invite, we would reflect over the Nashville Predators in a space, but I want to expand that. I feel like, now I know this is like an off-season thing, but I want to focus on the teams that finish at the bottom or near the bottom, you know? I'm not talking about the teams that just missed out on the playoffs, although Vancouver, oof. But I'd like to reflect on where are the bottom feeders at in each conference.
I would totally be down to do that. In between you and Alec and everyone else, you can be in coordination of dates and stuff that we want to set. I could do some research. We could do a space and have some fun with it because I think there is a lot to say about those bottom teams because I don't think all of them are bottom feeders.
For example, San Jose might not be a bottom feeder any longer after this year without the future. We don't know what Chicago is going to do in the future despite their error with Connor Bedard. But nonetheless, those two may be the two most intriguing bottom feeders of the NHL right now.
Jesus. San Jose has Celebrini, Smith, and a few other guys, and they get the second overall pick.
It's scary. Alec and I talked a little bit about that just before you joined in, and I'm definitely down to do that. I'll be in conversations with you and Alec as far as what we want to set when we get some time during the off season, because that could be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
We'll slow this one down now for Stuart Skinner. I'm about 2 minutes away from handing this back over to Alec to have him close. Happy to be joined by both of you here as we get settled in for this very fun game. First period was all systems go. Second period slowed down a little bit, but there was good action back and forth. Some excellent stops by Skinner. Rolling puck goes just wide. The left side post. McDavid's pass gets cut off. This is a game that Vegas simply has to have. They can't go down 3-0. This will be sent back in amongst the inboards now. Nugent-Hopkins right up the gut. Play this back pass as Kulak gets rocked in amongst the inboards. This will be knocked away. And off of a back pass picked up now for Brett Howden. And they'll have to play the Kieran. This goes right to Edmonton. Looking like a lot of outlet passes, just not hitting right now. And I think that is advantage for Vegas. It looks like Edmonton's trying to cheat a little bit as Draisaitl. And off the attempted stick lift, it goes back to Braden McNabb. Shot board reads just 18-15. Not a lot of chances. Stuart Skinner, this will hit him directly. He'll make the outstretch pass a little bit slow. It'll allow Edmonton to start on their own and a little full-scale 120-foot pass. Back in behind the inboards now, Shea Theodore gets it for a moment, beats out Leon Draisaitl. And this is intercepted right at the point. Olofsson will cash it in from the left side red line, take his change. 11-10 left to go in this third. Again, probably about 2 shots thereabouts for both of these teams right now in this third, as this is just brushed by Aiden Smith. White Cloud will try to get this out of his own end. He'll do so. This will be intercepted on the opposite blue line for Edmonton. They'll take a change back in their own end, but Edmonton, I can't say running out of time just yet, but we'll have to give it about another 5 minutes before they're really going to have to go. Right now it's 10:45 in the third. There's Dorofeev trying to make this pass right up the gut. Hurdle. See what he does with it. He'll slow up at the right side wall. Here's a slam for Haig. This one goes up and on a play. Since we get a stoppage here, I'll just hand it right over to you, Alec, at 10:37.
So in the meantime, as we get with stoppage here in the play, it seems that the Minnesota Timberwolves will hold off playoff Jimmy and the Golden State Warriors. The dream ends with 33 points for Jimmy on 43 minutes. Anthony Edwards outduels him. He finishes with 36 on the night.
It's fun to watch those two guys go back and forth. That's a heck of a battle.
Two players with Michael Jordan-esque type of styles of play. And Anthony Edwards and Jimmy Butler, they clash up well with each other. Both start on the draw. It turns out Adam Henrique is the guilty party.
Get a chance to see if Vegas in this final 10:37 can hold off the eventual Edmonton push that you know is coming.
And, shout out to Jonathan Kuminga, who finished tonight with 30 points as this shot is blocked off the face-off. Tanner Pearson trying to recollect and goes behind for Brett Howden. Back for Pearson. Bruce Cassidy decides to put Howden with Pearson and Kolesar, as this one is just out inside the line by Pearson. Kolesar gets boxed out. Left point is Hannafin. Wheeling this one around Pearson in the near boards. Kolesar wants to hold it, but nobody is at the slot. Only an Oiler. Towards the right side is Connor Brown. Sending this one around for the end boards. Hill will play this towards the near corner dangerously as Brown almost took it away. Chopped up into the air as Henrique tried to hold it. At the right point, and Vegas does get it out. Pass doesn't work, and Vegas will have to reset. Halfway through this third period, most of the scoring has been in that opening frame. 3-2, Vegas leads it. The only goal of the second period was William Carlson. There's a big hit along the far corner. Brett Kulak moves it up through the middle. The Oilers with the pressure on them now. As this pass gets blocked up, here is Barbashev. He has Eichel with him. Eichel, a move to try to get around. Bouchard was not buying it. And McNabb missed the pass. And here's a race for the puck. which will be won by Shea Theodore, where he beats out Zach Hyman. Up the far side, Vegas gives it away. The Oilers go back with this puck, but a high shot that's blocked, and the Knights will restart their own zone. Dorfeev chopped up to the near boards as Bouchard got in the way of the pass. Skinner plays this one out. 9 minutes to go. Vegas leading 3-2. They have the shot advantage, 19-15. And despite what the goal total seems, this is more of a defensive game ever since the second period. Up the far side, moving of his speed was Draisaitl, but he gets forced out. And the Oilers will have to restart. John Klingberg backs out and will now survey his options. Looks to Walman. Gets the pass right back. Klingberg, further middle. Going his way Bruce Arvidsson towards the slot. And a nice defensive play by the Knights to get in the midst of him. Did you break that one up and not get a penalty out of it? Klingberg trying to hold it. This one bounces up and out or towards the Edmonton zone. Darnell Nurse will restart. And they take a shot off the Vegas board. 18-15 it reads. But still Vegas with the advantage. Tanner Pearson comes back in with Nick Waugh. Tanner pass. Waugh. Glove save. And a beauty for Stuart Skinner. Are you serious?
My, oh my, that is number 4 for Stuart Skinner in this game. Nick Waugh tries to almost go between his legs and elevate. Skinner stamps it out with the glove at 8-12. Look, I know he's had some goals put up against him, Alec, but again, we talk about the type of saves that he's made. He has been ridiculous.
You know, playoff Stuart Skinner immediately after he gets benched may or may not be a real thing. And so far, we're seeing Stuart Skinner after he got benched in the playoffs, and now he's getting his confidence and mojo back. He had the one goal that he wanted back, but outside that, he's having himself a solid night.
Yeah, he really is. Again, you have the luxury, if you're Edmonton. I know it's not household names as much as you would like for Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. Now, we've all had that conversation amongst ourselves, but they've done the job in the goal-attaining tandem that they needed to. Now that Pickard may miss one game or maybe multiple, I think Stuart Skinner, as long as he's healthy and is playing like this, even if they don't win today, they could certainly bounce back in the next couple of nights at Rogers and try to at least get a split. If Edmonton can do that, I think that's all they really need.
You know, a split may be the best case scenario for the Oilers at this point, because Vegas, we'll give them this game. If the Oilers can split the home-and-home series, their games 3 and 4, that may be the best case scenario for them. If they can win game 4 and put Vegas on the ropes, they'll be feeling confident heading into game 5.
Yeah, and again, at least for me, I want to look at that. Whether Pickard comes back and how soon he comes back, I want to be able to give Skinner some burn, because Calvin Pickard's not expected to play every single game in this postseason. When you play every other day, I would think somebody like Calvin Pickard is more susceptible to fatigue, so it's probably good that Stuart Skinner gets some games, in my opinion.
That's a fair assessment. Call like a tandem goaltender.
Yes.
You have Skinner start some games, and you have Pickard start some games like they've done in the regular season. But Skinner is expected to be your number 1 guy come postseason. And if you know, after Pickard gets those starts, you have Skinner starting those games. Edmonton trying to get out of those over can't, as Skinner makes another save. That was a kick save. Over to the near corner is Waugh controlling on his backhand around Darnell Nurse. Waugh still under control of this one. Coming out of Gretzky's office. Now kicking back out to the left point for Hannafin. Spinning his one around back for Pearson. Pearson, hurdle. And another save by Skinner. He didn't know where it was, but he covered it up.
Yeah, he found it on the second effort out, like point blank toward the left post. His hurdle had his head up to the sky. Skinner's going to have to stand on his head here for the next 7:45, because Edmonton, I would think, Alec, they're about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes away from really having to press and take some chances. So we're going to have to see this guy be at his best, and Skinner's been pretty good.
So far, so good for Skinner. Where's the help going to come from, though? It can't just be Corey Perry. You need everyone else to step up here. And the Oilers' defensive forwards have been all over the ice. We've seen a lot from the defensive side of the ice for the Oilers forwards. We need the same energy from the offensive side, because Defense is something that we've been not used to in recent iterations of the Oilers, but here we are because they can play defense. Off the far side, as the Knights are trying to make this a 2-goal game. Set up pass, bounced up in front, going to land onto Ekholm, and the Oilers want to move it up the far side, which they will. Here's Hyman, who sets up for Bouchard. Evan Bouchard will swing it across. Nobody at the left side. Here's Jack Eichel trying to blow by Zach Hyman. Eichel does blow by Hyman. Eichel fires it. Didn't have a lot of room to shoot that. And it's cleared out for the Oilers from their own zone. Got it out to the right side. Here's Hyman collecting at the near corner of the Vegas zone. Bounced out to the right point. Bouchard controls it. And at the far half board, stepping into it now. That's across Draisaitl. Oh, he came close. But all he hit was the side of the cage. And Vegas will lob this one back. And they're going to ice it.
And Alec Draisaitl, I know he loves that right dot. I think he got real tight. I mean, he's like the top away from the circle. Didn't give himself the best chance to get open enough to shoot. And he had really nothing else to shoot at but the side of the mesh.
He usually makes those from that distance out at the bottom of the right circle because usually that right circle has been his bread and butter. Even at the bottom of the right circle, most of those shots are shots in which it should not go in the net. And even Draisaitl is realizing that.
Yeah, normally get open there. They don't want to leave him open, but that one he got just in too tight on top of the dot. Didn't leave him much to shoot with. Now Vegas will start with some puck possession.
That's after Eichel won the faceoff. Brandon McNabb, who was a long shot to even play this game, he clears this one down, and Skinner will play this one out for his team to start up. Brett Kulak moving down the middle. Kulak, this one deflected inside. This is a wheel-around chance. No, it was not touched. Adafin is the closest to the icing.
And I mentioned this to the part of my play-by-play before I had to take over here, Alec, to finish it off because we're going to be in a good, exciting finish. Edmonton's really trying to go for those 70, 80-foot passes. They're not connecting right now, but if you're Vegas, you cannot fall asleep at any point. You got to lock this down.
It all comes down to who shows up among these third-period teams. Vegas best in the regular season. Edmonton best in the playoffs. Who comes out on top in this war of attrition of third-period teams? The Knights are all tied up. And as such, that was a good job by the Oilers to force the icing. And that was a forced error by the Oilers too tonight.
Yeah, it's been an icing extravaganza here the last few. You got a 4:30 Eastern start between the Stars and the Jets. That tied at 1-1. Toronto trying to take a 3-1 series lead, but Brad Marchand had other ideas. That's at 7:30, the late game on Mother's Day.
Can you imagine it's the fifth time that Brad Marchand is crossing against the Toronto Maple Leafs in his career? This time it's a Panther. Cross sides, here's Evan Bouchard. Or towards the right circle, spinning around is McDavid, who's back out there. Draisaitl, McDavid! Could not be collected by Hyman, who's back out to the top line for the Oilers. Wheel around pass back for Draisaitl, who's tied up by Adafin. Hyman tried to take it away. Set up pass doesn't work. Arnold wants to clear it out, which he does. Oilers want to get it back inside, skips over Hyman's stick. And Vegas does get it out. McDavid will set up backwards. Less than 6 minutes to go here. Oilers need a goal to tie it. Going over the far side, bouncing up, and the Knights will recollect it up for the far side. Set up pass. This was an errant pass. Arnold slows up and fires her on the near side. Skinner playing this one behind. Here is Bouchard. Evan Bouchard, rink wide for Corey Perry. Perry, Ryan gets lost former teammate, gets by for 2 Tex. That's the old Corey Perry that we've known in Anaheim. Attempted pass and work for Draisaitl, but William Carlson gets tied up. Not Jack Eichel, though. He and Riley Smith were able to get it out. Eichel's been double shifted here, and Bruce Cassidy trusts him in these situations as one of the better defensive-minded centers in the league that he's transforming into. Gone are the days of him being a one-dimensional offensive center. Oilers keep it on the far half board as Brett Howard ties up his man. Out for the far side, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins there to chop away at it. And this gets cleared out by Kolesar on the rush. Nurse holds out Kolesar, but didn't hold out Tanner Pearson. For the far half boards as both teams whack away the puck. Comes back for center by the Oiler bench. Hey, will hold up. Less than 5 minutes to go. Vegas up 3-2. Comes back to Brett Howden at the near corner as Kolesar gets shoved up. Henry tried to poke it free, and it bounces up, collected at the near half boards. Still up for grabs as it's stuck there through the near half boards. And now, finally, we get a whistle as it seems that Jake Walman was shoved down.
Yeah, he was taken down as we go to break. Again, that play was blown dead. They're showing Stuart Skinner doing some exercises, staying sharp. Thomas Hurdle was the latest one that got robbed. We got about 4:31 left, and we'll see what happens if the Oilers can push ahead if they elect to try to pull Stuart Skinner early.
We know about warm-up routines of goaltenders. Stuart Skinner warming up with the neck muscles, and Connor Hellebuck's warm-up routines right now are well documented about he trains his eye muscles to perfect his reflexes.
He's got some crazy back and forth on the eyes. I'm not sure how he does that so well, but he really did put that to good use yesterday. My goodness.
That's why he's one of the leading Vezina candidates. Those eye muscles are what helping him. He's got one of the sharpest eyes in the league.
I still don't see them making it to the cup.
The Jets.
Because this is Winnipeg.
It's going to have to rest on, I know the obvious thing that Alec and I said him, but it's going to have to rest on Connor Hellebuck. He's going to have to play that way if the Jets have a chance.
If that shutout, he badly needed that one because it puts the Jets back in the series. But we want to see that same energy on the road because at Enterprise Center, the Jets look shaky. And when the Blues put up shots on Hellebuck, he looked very uncomfortable out there on the ice. We'll see how this is in Dallas at American Airlines Center. Do the Stars pepper Hellebuck with shots?
Yeah, all of us are in agreement, Ian, and you mentioned you joined in. I think we're all taking the Stars to go out and go to advantage there. But I do want to see if Hellebuck has that type of game, if they have the same defensive presence they had against Mikko Rantanen, was held to one shot at -2. They put him in a box. And we'll see if they can do that again. I think Dallas is going to be able to play much better. They have to because they just didn't get anything going in Game 2.
And we wonder when they're going to get Miro Heiskanen back because he's out since January. They just got Jason Robertson back, which is good news. They put him on the third line, which is a scary thought to think about because he's their franchise player. Vegas wins the face-off so cleanly, it just comes out the zone. And now they're starting for the near half boards. Deflected inside. On the chase down is Nugent-Hopkins where he beats out Bouchard, but he is put on a headlock. No penalty out of this one, despite the fact that Walman got knocked out. Klingberg loses a tire. And for the near half boards, this is brought up by the Golden Knights as he got one-timer high slot, and Dorfman missed it. Skinner may have got a piece. R&H from the far half boards. This gets brought out onto the Vegas zone. Here's the chase down for this Victor Arbage on the fourth line. These guys out there, pass gets knocked away by Adin Hill. And this is brought back by Barbashev with two Oilers rushing back on the counter. Barbashev waiting for options, but he gets put on a headlock by Evander Kane. Freed up, and now the Oilers will go left to right, searching for the tying goal. Here's McDavid. He's going to take this one up for the middle. McDavid will find Draisaitl, backhander. Skipped everything, one-timer. Stop by Hill, rebound. That is blocked in front. Adin Hill's teammate with the big save, and this puck is going to go rolling all the way down for an icy.
That was absolutely needed, Mr. Nava, because you had McDavid on that second rebound, the one that let that go. If that doesn't get blocked there alongside Braden McNabb, Adin Hill he's dead to rights at that point, but that was a great block for Braden.
It was a long shot to enter this game, but he made it and made the key block on the rebound chance. What a job there for McNabb to deny Connor McDavid up front. And the heroics of Adin Hill once again realized Oilers win the draw. They'll cycle it around. Here's a quick shot, and Hill has got another save.
Now you can start to wonder here, we're at the 3:13 marker, of whether or not Kris Knoblauch wants to pull Stuart Skinner. It'll give you more ease to do so if you keep winning those face-offs. Adin Hill's going to have to keep those eyes sharp.
It's a battle of comebacks because the Oilers survived what was a near Vegas comeback when they were down 3-1 and 4-2. Adin Hill 17 of 19, but goaltending has not been much of a factor in this game. It's been more the defenses in front of them. Here's McDavid who wins this draw. Bouchard holds up McDavid. Sharp angle, spins out, away from Theodore. Sends a front score! It may have been 10, but the Oilers have even over 3!
Oh boy, that went off as a pass. It was tipped there. McDavid, the first of the celebration line. All the signs of La Bamba. And you kind of wonder now if you're Vegas, if you're feeling that evil pit in your bottom of your stomach, because you just kind of felt like it was going to happen, Alec.
You felt like it because the Oilers, they're good at late game situations. They are very good at third period situations. This late in the game, Evan Bouchard sees that his lane was closed up. McDavid initially gets closed up by Shea Theodore, does a full spin around him on Jack Eichel, and does Zach Hyman get a piece or not? The Oilers don't care. No, this catches Braden McNabb's skate. The very guy who blocked McDavid's rebound chance gets it off his skate. That's unlucky for the Golden Knights. You have the same guy who blocked the shot earlier have a goal allowed that goes off his skates. Oh, and that was tied at 3 as we have another icing.
Yeah, I was going to say, and another icing. It reminds me of the one the other day when Ehlers was able to get a goal trying to find Scheifele, bounces off the skate of Lindell. It's a lot easier to take when it happens in the first period. It's a lot harder to take when it happens with 2:46 left to go in a tie game.
And in that Toronto, Florida game, we have a lot of wonky goals. Morgan Riley's tying goal was full pinball off Bobrovsky, off the back of Seth Jones, in the net. And then Brad Marchand's game winner went off Morgan Riley and in the net. Those are the definitions of wonky goals. This one was by far a wonky goal. Off the far side, the Oilers trying to go for the go-ahead goal. They've been the best third period team in the playoffs. Bigs have been the best third period team in the regular season. Hope prevails here. At this point, maybe next goal wins, unless we have a goal that is answered right back. But at this current rate, we don't see that happening. Evan Bouchard up the middle, gets a bounce. William Karlsson batted back down by Edmonton up the far half force. And the Knights will have to reset for their own zone. Intercepted! The Oilers coming back with this. 1-on-2. Forehand, backhand. And that is easily closed up by the Golden Knights defense. Tie up at the near corner again as Hyman emerges. Back over towards the point. There's Weissa. Fires it. And that one deflected up and out of play.
I'm going to say this as plain as I can, Alec. Vegas needs to get to the dressing room right now. This 155 that's left is going to feel like an eternity. McDavid almost gets through a 1-on-2. That goes double deflection and bounces up and out of play. And Aiden Hill, I'm sure, is wondering what the heck is going on.
We're all wondering what the heck is going on here at Edmonton. Ian and I covered the Game 2 overtime thriller 2 nights ago, in which we saw everything happen on the ice with Calvin Pickard going God mode in that overtime period, where he made 7 or 8 great saves. And now the Oilers, they're turning it on at the right time, trying to mount a thrilling victory of their own here. In Game 4 against LA was their first home overtime playoff winner in 8 years. They're looking for their second one this postseason. 3-3 with 1:54 left in the third. But that is if they reach overtime here. Vegas is in a headlock in their own zone. They've managed to get it out for center. Ever since with less than 5 minutes ago, it's been all Oilers in this game. Up the near corner, here is Brett Kulak that hit the side of the cage. The Golden Knights trying to go for it. And up the near corner, Kane on a headlock with Noah Adamant. This comes out to left point. And this is held inside, winding up firing. And that is why McNabb holding it in. McNabb down low for Eichel. Eichel centering pass. Did it get picked up? Skinner fires it. Great block in front. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, you warrior.
Yeah, he's done it all. You mentioned him between that third line, power play, penalty kill, whatever else. This is a good lane to shoot from here for Theodore, but it gets swallowed up by RNH. Able to step all the way out, just get a piece of a skate on it. Full all-out effort.
Oh, excuse me, that was Victor Arvidsson as I saw 93. I saw number 3 at the end of the jersey, but it's 33, not 93. But either way, these are 2 really good defensive pieces. And you said it best, John. If I'm Vegas, at the very best on how this game is going, you would be best suited that this game would go to overtime at this current stage. But there's no safe guarantee on how this is going up, as the Oilers collected it at center ice. Connor Brown goes rink wide in the pass. They'll instead play defense Up the far side is Tomas Hertl, the former San Jose Shark. Along the Vegas bench, Edmonton takes it away. 60 seconds left in regulation. Bounced up and is collected by Barbashev right down the near side of the ice. Here's Walman, who sticks it over to the far side. Deflected up, and this is a foot race for the puck. Adam is going to beat out his man to the puck. Fired around the end boards, and the Golden Knights will pick it up. Barbashev, bouncing puck, and it'll be collected up, and moving up the middle of the ice. Here's Connor Brown. Brown, forced wide by Pietrangelo. Houston sets shoot around the end boards. Edmonton keeps it inside. Near corner, set up pass, and McDavid couldn't fire it home. Slowed up was Brown. McDavid is right behind the goal. McDavid sets up right in front to the right point. Here's Brett Kulak. Can't get the shot past Barbashev. Gets the puck back. 15 seconds until overtime. Pietrangelo, he'll get it open towards the near corner. 10 seconds. Vegas going for the Hail Mary here to end out regulation. William Karlsson fires it on the far boards. Karlsson trying to set him in front. And here's the last ditch effort. Riley Smith shooting. No goal. He hit the post. Oh my goodness. He's a shell shot. And so are we. I thought that this was a goal. But we'll have to check and see here if we have a Vegas win or overtime. We're going to check it out.
Vegas is celebrating here, Alec, off the drop pass. They think they scored. We're still checking it officially, but this game might be done with 1 second left. We'll see.
Oh my goodness. If this is a goal, Vegas is celebrating because they think this more Skinner was out than that to try to play this full-on aggressive goalie. We're going to check this out. This is a goal. So hold on a minute. Hold on to your horses because this is not over just yet.
Riley Smith might have knocked it in off the camera on the back end. It's 0.5. That puck's in. 0.3.
Yeah, 0.3. It went off the stick of Leon Draisaitl. That's a goal. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to win this game.
Unbelievable.
God is inflicted on Draisaitl.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's an insert player. The Vegas Golden Knights have scored.
Wow.
Riley Smith's got 2, Alec. Those are 2 of the sickest goals I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness. 0.4 on the clock. The Golden Knights are right back in the series. An insert player here in Edmonton to get right back within one game and making this an even series should they win game 4. But a Hail Mary and the prayer is answered. Riley Smith is your game 3 hero.
Hey, you guys covered the OT game, the 5-4 the other day. I don't know if you want to tell me which game was better, because I'm just glad I was able to cover game 1. You covered game 2, we covered game 3. This series has been crazy. What a way to lose for Edmonton. I was just hoping that Vegas would be able to go to the room the other way. It looked like they were done. There was a few times it looked like they were done. But yet, in the other period, they score, 2 goals, Alec, between about 50-something seconds, fight their way back in. And then I got to give full marks there on the very end to Will Karlsson. He drove that puck in behind the net. 1-on-3. He made the play off the drop pass, which set it up for Riley Smith. Riley Smith got good fortune, but he made his good fortune. GWG.
You know what? To answer your question, this game, the overtime epic. I mean, overtimes are always fun, but this was the amount. It's just look at the Oilers fans. They're in shock like us.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't happen. I mean, what? This man takes the puck. He shoots it to the goal. And you know what? Even if Draisaitl's stick wasn't in the way, I think that might still go in. But, you know, it would surprise me if somehow in that split second, because these athletes athletes see things see the game in a way
Right.
we couldn't possibly. It is not out of the realm of reason that he saw Draisaitl stick in that position and purposefully shot it at his stick in hopes of a redirect.
And to your point, in covering game one, you remember that goal in the third period, gentlemen, when Mr. Leon Draisaitl banked it off of the red line, off the skate of Aiden Hill because he saw him cheat it on the opposite side of the post? Things like that happen. They happen at 1,000 miles an hour. And Alec, I know we might not have thought about it at the time, but you got a chance to call an electric game winner, 0.4 on the clock. And as Ian mentioned, with all the crowd in Edmonton, they still can't believe what happened.
We can't believe it either, John. Ian. Between these two games, I feel this one takes the cake of the craziest game of this series. This usually does not happen. But like the previous game winner for Leon Draisaitl, we both thought it was so in and out. It went in and out in a hurry that we both thought it was no goal. But here, this was a buzzer beater, and this puck was not supposed to go in the net. But I feel Smith was trying to intensify on Draisaitl's stick, as what Ian mentioned, in the hopes that it was going to bang it in the net. And guess what? The Hail Mary made its way in the net with 0.4 on the clock. That's what won Vegas this game. You don't see goals like that every day, but these are the types of lucky bounces that you need to have come playoff time.
Yeah, and you got to make those lucky bounces. And that's the one thing that we talked about. There's no way that this doesn't give life to Vegas, considering the way that this series has gone. They needed this game so badly. Riley Smith picked a great time to play his best game. And before I get the heck out of here, what did you share with the Rockies? Because the pain doesn't stop for them.
To give you the class, they got blown out 21-0.
No.
Yes, John.
I got to stay here real quick. But let me look this up on ESPN. Hold on. I can't leave just yet because you bring that up there. I got to look at this with my 4 eyes. 21-0. Why?
It's just,
They gave up.
Agony.
They gave up 24 hits.
Yes.
5 home runs.
And the starting pitcher pitched a complete.
Oh my good. Kulak. Stephen Kulak pitched a complete game. And even though it's the Rockies, a complete game is an accomplishment. But oh my goodness.
So
5
Stephen Kulak just gave the Colorado Rockies, here's my headline, a colonoscopy, 21-0.
Yeah. You're not wrong. And here's the other part that's so sad. The Rockies are, John, I told Alec this, but are you familiar with just how screwed? No. I'm sorry. I can't be nice about this. Do you know how
Right.
the Rockies are?
Well,
This is the worst year for them to be this bad. Do you know why?
do they not have any picks?
No. They're in the same position as the Chicago White Sox were last season.
Oh.
Because of draft lottery rules, they cannot pick above 10.
Oh no. Oh, I can't imagine. I'm gonna promise I'm gonna go here in a second, but I'm looking at this pitching line for Mr. Bradley Blaylock, and I feel so horrible for him. He goes 3 2/3, 13 hits, 12 earned runs, and his ERA is at 13. Oh.
change with that?
I'll say the same thing. I know Ian mentioned it alongside teams like Arizona for the Coyotes and all of that. I feel bad for Rockies fans. They don't deserve that.
Yeah. If anyone's a Rockies fan out there, put on the Nuggets or Avalanche on television now, or by extension, the Broncos.
I appreciate you sharing me with that, Ian. I'm gonna mull over that. I'll probably be thinking about that until I go to bed. 21-0.
I got one. I shared one more thing because this is how bad it's gotten.
Hold on.
Baseball images that precede unfortunate events.
Is it just the logo of the Rockies?
Yes.
Oh, the comedy hour is upon us. Well, you got the fantastic goal call there in the game winner for alongside Riley Smith. That's got to feel good. And you got a huge win and alongside for the Carolina Hurricanes. So I say good day to you, Mr. Nava. I bet it was. And I know we'll catch up next week.
Yep, see you then.
All right, you take care, guys. 21-0. How do you lose like 21-0? Man, oh man, that's crazy.